Beautiful Lambeau Field, all dressed up and ready to go for the preseason opener, as is our sideline reporter, Rod Burks. Rod, good evening.
Good evening, guys. Mike McCarthy said today he's going to try to play all four quarterbacks. Just a few snaps for Aaron Rodgers, but the other three are going to get some work. Vince Young just brought in this week. He's going to get 10 to 15 snaps. A couple of days were a little rocky as he tries to put it together, the game, and learn this offense. Graham Harrell can really separate himself. He's probably going to get about 35 snaps today, and B.J. Coleman is going to get the whole fourth quarter. Now he's going to try to improve himself from that family night scrimmage where he threw 2 interceptions. So keep your eyes on all the backup quarterbacks, guys.
All right, Rod, thank you. The number 3 overall pick was Vince Young out of Texas after winning a national championship. And a look at Aaron Rodgers right now. The quality of play is going to be one of the things that Mike McCarthy, Rich, is going to really survey tonight. I mean, he wants quantity for a lot of the young players, but quality is right there along with it.
I think a clean performance, Kevin, and then creating opportunities. This is all about the evaluation process for Mike McCarthy and this coaching staff. They want to get a look at a lot of young players and some different combinations, not just along the offensive line, that defensive line, and of course, most importantly, you want to come out of here with a win tonight. That's important, I think, even in the preseason.
I think, too, how much you play your players. I mean, there's a snap count, for instance, on Aaron Rodgers. We were told this morning maybe 10, 12 plays is what he'll be under center for or in the shotgun in that offense tonight.
Right, and I think for Aaron and the offense, I mean, I want to come out of here feeling good about your performance. I mean, you want to have a nice 10, 12 play drive. Mark Tauscher talked about that in the pregame show. You don't want a turnover. You don't want something bad to happen. It makes next week's weeks of practice difficult. I think you want to have a good experience tonight and feel good about yourself come out of the first preseason game.
Well, one of the major storylines for the Packers certainly is the kicking game. The punting game is fine. It's the kicking game that Mike McCarthy is trying to fix and get back on track, and that puts the focus solely on Mason Crosby, who is coming off a scrimmage a week ago where he was 3 of 8. His kickoffs have been fine. The height, the distance, everything fine there. It's the field goal kicking, which is a grave concern with all the misses he had a season ago.
It really boils down to consistency with Mason Crosby, and I think that, you know, it's an area of his game where he has to be better. I think the kickoffs are solid. He gets good hang time, good depth. His location on kicks is good. It's just the consistency with the field goals that he has to get cleaned up.
At the worst season of any Packer kicker in 24 years. His field goal percentage 63%. So that's an ongoing story. We'll be following it all night long and all preseason long as Javier Arenas awaits the kickoff from Green Bay. Here we go. It's the Packers and the Cardinals from Lambeau. That's the distance we were just talking about. And so it's a touchback to the 20-yard line. And, Rich, this will take us to the new quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals, and they're pretty excited about having 11-year veteran Carson Palmer.
Yeah, the quarterback question was the most important one to answer in the offseason. They did that by signing the 11-year veteran Carson Palmer. Light years ahead of what they had last year, Kevin. They trotted out a number of different quarterbacks last season. Cobb, Skelton, Lindley. The offense was awful. They were banged up along the offensive line. Scored the second fewest points in the NFL last year. They should be better with Carson Palmer.
So here they go, first down and 10 with Alphonso Smith in the backfield. And here's Palmer quickly to the side, and he's got his receiver Michael Floyd in his second season out of Notre Dame. It is a gain of 18 and a good strike right there, and that is a first down.
And the one thing we do know about Bruce Arians, the head coach and play caller for the Cardinals, he's going to push the ball downfield. He believes in the vertical passing game. He's got a quarterback now that they know can throw the football. I mean, you look at him last year, Carson Palmer, he threw for over 4,000 yards behind a very shaky offensive line in Oakland.
After he had gone from a nice Pro Bowl career with Cincinnati to the Raiders, first and 10 from the 38-yard line. This is the running back who's got it, Alphonso Smith, who is out of Kentucky and stuffed in the middle for a gain of about 3, and Clay Matthews there with a stop for Green Bay.
And the Packers feel really good about that group inside at linebacker. You think about Clay Matthews, of course the inside group, A.J. Hawk and Brad Jones. Just a good look at Bruce Arians there, the play caller. Coach of the year last year. Great job taking over for Chuck Pagano in Indianapolis last year. But the Packers got to feel real good about that core group, that front seven. I think with Nick Perry back, it should make a world of difference.
Arians, the NFL Coach of the Year. Here's another Smith handoff, and that time wrapped up by Brad Jones on that gain of a couple yards. He's up to about maybe the 42-yard line on the play.
Had a chance to interview A.J. Hawk and Clay Matthews on Tuesday Kevin, and you get the sense that this defense wasn't happy with the way they finished the season. They feel they have something to prove. You get the sense they're very focused and a very determined group. They've had a good training camp so far. Good look at Clay Matthews trying to get the crowd involved.
3rd and 7, 6 in the secondary for the Green Bay Packers. And a look at Carson Palmer, who won the Heisman Trophy at USC. And he's got his receiver. Beautiful knockaway downfield by Jerron McMillan. As they were going deep for Andre Roberts, McMillan is a guy who is trying to get that starting safety position. They'll have to punt.
Yeah, better throw here by Carson Palmer. Gets it done. A little underthrown here, Kevin. And it's a nice play by McMillan, getting a hand in there at the end, knocking it away from Roberts. Good competition at the safety position. We're talking about Jerron McMillan, M.D. Jennings in that battle for that strong safety position opposite Morgan Burnett at free safety.
Dave Zestadil is punting to Franklin, the rookie from UCLA, who has not returned balls in college, but returning for the Packers as they try to perhaps replace Cobb, who is not going to play tonight, but Cobb is going to see more snaps now at receiver and running back for the Packers. So this, speaking of Cobb, here's a guy who says Cobb may have over 100 catches this year, and that is Aaron Rodgers. He's got so many things right now that he's been working on, but one thing I thought was interesting, Rich, he's working more on throws to his left. That was one of the points of emphasis this offseason.
Yeah, Mike talked about it, just playing more square, not as open at the top before the delivery, and talking about staying on the midline, not drifting to his left. It's hard to find, Kevin, some flaws in Aaron's game, but if you look hard enough, his coaching staff has done it. They think there's some areas where they can get cleaned up.
So with Starks in the backfield, he gets the start, number 44, James Starks. It's 1st down and 10 for the Green Bay Packers, and up the middle he goes on a gain of about 4 up to the 17-yard line. They say he is in better shape, and a guy who was so prominent in the postseason a couple years ago. Now the question is, can he stay healthy?
Yeah, and you see the Packers jump the ball. The Cardinals having a difficult time making substitutions. There's no way they have 11 on the field.
2nd down 6, he's going deep, and he's got a flag thrown. They were going for Jarrett Boykin, and the coverage on the play downfield for Arizona supplied by Patrick Peterson, who's a Pro Bowler, and Boykin is a guy that may round out one of the top 5 receivers for the Green Bay Packers.
Really nice job there by Aaron, throwing this one down the field. He knew he had a free play, knew that the Cardinals were having a difficult time making the substitution. They had to have more men on the field. They see Aaron trying to get him huddled up.
Rodgers, who led the passer rating
there are 2 fouls by the defense on the play. Defense 12 men on the field. That penalty is declined. Holding number 21 defense. That penalty is accepted. 5 yards, automatic, 1st down.
Yeah, really nice job jumping the ball, and you can see the Cardinals trying to make a substitution, trying to get their sub-personnel on the field. Aaron alert, he knows he can double move, throw the ball down the field. You see Patrick Peterson, he just panicked and grabbed the hold of the receiver.
Jones is in, and it is now 1st down and 10. With a run by Starks as he goes up the middle that time and tries to find a couple of yards. Starks spent the entire offseason down in Florida at a fitness academy. He says he wanted to lose weight and get his conditioning better, and it is shown in this preseason.
Yeah, he's going to need to be in good shape with as quickly as they're going. The tempo is terrific offensively.
2nd down and 9 for Rodgers. That's Jermichael Finley, who's up to the 31-yard line and brought down on that play by Amaya. That's a gain of 8, bringing up 3rd down and 1.
Kevin, I don't know if there's a quarterback in football that gets the ball out of his hands as quickly as Aaron Rodgers in the shotgun. I mean, it's amazing to watch, and he gets it out of his hands so quick, and by doing that, he gets the ball into the hands of the receivers earlier and allows them to get into the transition of the run.
5 defensive backs for the Cardinals on 3rd and 1 for Green Bay. First time they've had it. Cardinals had it for a couple plays and had to punt. Rodgers. And he's got the 1st down pass to Jeremy Ross. It's a gain of 5. Everyone is talking about Ross, who's doing a lot of different things on special teams, and that time he gets a 1st down reception.
Well, you're going to see the pressure comes to his left side, and look how quickly, again, he gets the ball out there throwing hot to the receiver in the slot. Very difficult to defend that because it happens so fast.
Starks on 1st and 10. And stuffed inside with not a lot of running room right there. Reggie Walker will make the stop. Brinkley is there as well with the gain of a yard on the play.
Well, all eyes on that left tackle, David Bakhtiari. Kevin, I'm watching him very closely, and I think that Mike McCarthy, the play caller, very cognizant of getting him off to a good start. Running the football early, some quick three-step throws. It's important for him to gain some confidence at the left tackle position.
2nd down and 9. And Starks, Newhouse throwing the block. A good run right there, hit from behind by Ronald Talley. The ball to the 44 and a gain of 7. Starks again out of the University of Buffalo. He has missed more games than he has played for Green Bay.
But he's had his best training camp, and it's amazing. It's amazing when you draft 2 running backs, Eddie Lacy and Jonathan Franklin. It'll bring the best out of you. I think Starks realizes he's got to turn it up a notch here in training camp.
Packers 3rd down and 2 on their opening drive of the game. And he's got Jones, who takes it inside the 15. He tumbles to the 6. He picks up 50 yards on the play. Green Bay 1st and goal. No one caught more touchdowns last year than James Jones.
Oh, what a nice throw by Aaron. He's staring at the safety. He just flicks this out there and puts it out in front of James Jones. Pretty good coverage there. Just a perfect throw gets it done. As you mentioned, Kevin, 14 touchdowns last year. He was terrific down in the red zone.
Starks remains 1st and goal for the Packers. And Starks finding the blocking of his center and right guard is inside the 2 and picking up 4 right there. We mentioned this in the pregame show. We've got guys who were playing on the right side last year, now on the left, and guys on the left side last year playing on the right.
And that's why communication is so important. They give Aaron a lot of freedom and flexibility at the line of scrimmage, calling plays down here, making it very difficult for Arizona to make substitutions.
Finley, the tight end, is wide right. 2nd and goal. And the quick slant, they can't find Jones.
Boy, that's one that Aaron would like to have back a little bit quick there. He had time to sink a little bit at the top of his drop and hold it. That ball came out so quick.
Packers right now in the Sendek Food Market's red zone. Sendek's Food Market's home with a red bag. When you see the red bag, you know it's quality. Packers are 2-2 on 3rd down on this drive. 3rd and goal.
Empty backfield set. We're going to get 5 receivers out in the route. This ball's going to come out of Aaron's hands quickly.
Rodgers, and that was dropped by Finley, who has had a case of the drops. Not necessarily in this training camp, but in the past, and that would have been a quick 6. And let's see what they do now on 4th and goal.
Well, this is a tough one. No sooner gets his head around, this ball is right on him. And pretty good coverage there by the safety. Jermichael Finley hasn't quite lived up to the expectations since a breakout 2009 campaign. As you mentioned, Kevin, inconsistent play has kind of diminished his role a little bit in this offense.
At the 2, 4th and goal on the opening drive for the Packer offense. Starks. And I don't think he got through.
I think he's in a little bit short. This is what's great about preseason. I love the idea that they're going for it here. Now you put your defense back on the field, and with Arizona in a backed up situation. And you can see Starks, he's trying to find that hole. But you got to stay low down in this part of the field. You've got to get skinny.
So the Packers will turn it over on downs after going 86 yards and coming up with nothing for Rodgers and Starks. Well, the Packers have challenged the run of Starks, which the ruling on the field is that he was short. But if you watch again, you can see the ball extend and hit the chalk.
Yeah, you got to look really closely. I'll try and circle it here on the screen. Right there.
Right there.
Yep. It happened so quick.
And his knee was not down. His progress had stopped. And so they will take a look at it once again, as Mike was taking advantage of the big, beautiful new HD scoreboard and video boards here at Lambeau to get a good look. We'll take another timeout. Replay, and we'll see exactly what he has come up with. as he is talked upstairs and taken a look at it on the field. Packers opening drive, 86 yards. Went for it on 4th and goal.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Arizona. Green Bay will be charged with their first
Clearly,
timeout.
Rich was not down with his backside or his knee or his elbow, so they must have figured that the whistle had been blown as his progress had been stopped.
Yeah, you really got to take a close look. You lose him in the pile. Keep rolling it. Keep rolling it. Now all of a sudden you're going to see that ball go out right there. Right now, freeze it. Yep, the ball was right out there. You could see it in that pile before the screen. So I thought it was a good challenge by Mike. The official didn't see it the same way.
There comes Clay Matthews, who said he was induced by some movement on the offensive line for the Cardinals. The Packers, by the way, only had...
Number 75 offense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Good read right there. The Packers only had, Rich, 9 rushing touchdowns last season. That was tied for 25th in the NFL.
Yeah, you're going to see him extend that ball there. Good alert play by Starks, just trying to get it over in that big scrum.
First down and 10. Carson Palmer to Larry Fitzgerald. We might be hearing that quite a bit. That's a nice catch, and it was made right on the near side in front of Sam Shields. The gain to about the 18-yard line, a pickup of 17 yards and a first down for Arizona.
Yeah, you almost felt bad for Larry Fitzgerald last year. He had his least productive season since his rookie year, but that was because of the poor quarterback play. And just in talking to him this summer, Kevin, he's really excited about having the veteran Carson Palmer. More opportunities, obviously, for him in the passing game. The other thing is, look for the Cardinals to move Larry Fitzgerald around more this year. You'll see him in the slot. You'll see him short motioning, something he has not done in the past.
6 defensive backs for the Packers as the handoff goes to Alfonso Smith, who picks up 2 on that 1st and 10, Rich, up to the 19-yard line.
Boy, Clay Matthews is just so difficult to block. We know how good of a pass rusher is. Sometimes I think we overlook just how good of a run defender he is. He's very cagey. He does a nice job slipping blocks, and he's always going up against those big tackles.
4-time Pro Bowler, and with Charles Woodson no longer on the team, I think Clay Matthews wants to be the leader. He wants to be the vocal leader on that defensive side.
Well, he's certainly a player that leads by example, and I think you're right, Kevin. He has to be more vocal. This is a young defense around him right now.
Palmer with a 2nd down and 8. Fitzgerald again. He holds basically all the Cardinal receiving records. He was met by Nick Perry, who's playing that outside linebacker opposite of the aforementioned Matthews. Devon House was there, and it's a gain of about 4, bringing up 3rd and 4 for the Cardinals on their 2nd possession tonight.
Well, this is a very athletic defense. I think you look at the youth in the secondary. I think you look at the speed they have now at the linebacker position. And I think they're much different up front. This is where I think they've got a chance to be a lot better, a lot more versatile with their defensive line.
Packers in the nickel, 3rd down and 4. And searching deep across the way, a flag was thrown, and they were aiming that time for receiver Michael Floyd. We'll see what that flag was all about, and it looks like it might even, in fact, be on the offense, as Devon House was across the way for Green Bay's coverage.
Pass interference, number 15, offense. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
They like Floyd, had a nice rookie year, and they expect more his 2nd season.
Well, he's big like Larry Fitzgerald. You're going to watch him here just try and push off a little bit, and the official right there to see it. He's got some talent. The former 1st-round pick from a year ago out of Notre Dame. Like a lot of these young receivers, he's got to become a more polished route runner.
Zastadil to punt, and deep back once again for Green Bay is Jonathan Franklin. And that's a poor punt by the veteran, and out of bounds it goes. And Green Bay will have some nice beginning field position in a scoreless 1st quarter. 6:46 to go, 32-yard punt. Watching the Packer Television Network. Aaron Rodgers is done for the night. He had an 86-yard drive, but got nothing out of it.
Yeah, I thought he looked really sharp, though, Kevin. The ball was coming out of his hands quick. Nice job changing plays at the line of scrimmage. You saw him throw the ball down the field. A nice shot here to James Jones. Just couldn't punch it in inside the red zone.
Packers are changing their offensive line. New right tackle is Don Barclay. Lane Taylor's the right guard. Greg Van Roten is the new center. You see the inverted wishbone. And Graham Harrell is the new quarterback on 1st and 10. Starks. He'll take it into the grasp of Rashad Johnson, twirling his way to the 48, and on the play, picks up 3, and Aaron's night is finished, and those are some of the numbers.
3 of 5 for 62 yards. You see him talking to Evan Dietrich Smith there, the center, and I thought it was a good start for him. And now we get a chance to see the backup quarterback, Graham Harrell. The problem here in Green Bay, Kevin, these guys never get a chance to play. And this goes all the way back to when Brett Favre was here.
Right.
I mean, Aaron doesn't come out, Brett never came out, and if you're a backup quarterback in Green Bay, the only chance you get to play is in the preseason. And that's why these snaps are so important and absolutely critical for a guy like Graham Harrell.
Starks on that second down run picked up nothing. Now 3rd and 7, and the numbers weren't all that good from the inter-squad game a week ago, and that forced them to sign Vince Young for more competition.
And that gets your attention, I think, if you're Graham Harrell and B.J. Coleman. There's no question about that. That would make me nervous as a quarterback.
Patrick Lewis is the new left guard. Here's Harrell on 3rd and 7, and a diving catch made by D.J. Williams, who has the first down to the 44. He picks up 8. Terrific catch by Williams, 3 years out of Arkansas.
And I like the fact that they're jumping the ball as well. You know, the thing with Graham Harrell, he just needs to play. I think by playing, you gain confidence. And I think you've seen a quarterback now that has gotten stronger, that has gotten more comfortable in this system. And I think he's beginning to play faster. And that's what Tom Clements and Mike McCarthy want to see out of Graham Harrell.
You recall Harrell struggled in the preseason a year ago, then had a good game to finish things off in Kansas City. Starks on 1st and 10 and moves the pile down near the 40-yard line, and a gain of 3 on the play. So they're getting a lot of James Starks, but they really want to see how these quarterbacks do, and all eyes on the guy who backed up Rodgers a season ago in Harrell.
And just in talking to Mike McCarthy the last couple of days, I mean, they talk about playing faster. I think he's gotten stronger, better with his velocity. They just need to see the consistency with him. And, you know, Graham was a guy that was exclusively in the shotgun in college at Texas Tech. He's done a much better job, I think, playing under center. And I think you see a guy that's gotten better mechanically in and outside the pocket. An area, of course, as we know, that Aaron is absolutely terrific.
2nd down and 7 from the Cardinal 42. Harrell intercepted, picked off on the play by Patrick Peterson. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, and he returns it to the Green Bay 36. He was tackled on the play by Tyrone Walker. It's a 22-yard return, and that is not what they want to put on film for Harrell.
And we learn at that position that you cannot allow somebody else's mistake to become your mistake. And I think there's some confusion here between Graham Harrell and the inexperienced Jeremy Ross. And you see the veteran Patrick Peterson. This guy's a Pro Bowl corner. Anytime you throw in the direction of Patrick Peterson, you better have your head on a swivel. He reminds me a little bit, Kevin, of a young Charles Woodson. And when you're throwing in the direction of a corner like that, a guy that can score from anywhere on the field, you better see the throw. Poor decision by Graham Harrell.
So Harrell now in his 3rd preseason has only completed 56% of his passes. He now throws his 4th interception against the 5 touchdowns in preseason play. So 1st and 10, Carson Palmer going deep, and he's got his man, and that is a touchdown with a beautiful throw and a catch by Andre Roberts, who last year had 64 grabs, a 38-yard touchdown pass from Carson Palmer, and we know they're going to throw a lot with Bruce Arians as the coach of the Cardinals.
Well, they love the vertical pass again. They've always got somebody going deep, it seems like, on every route. And, of course, one of the things that Carson Palmer still does well as a quarterback is throw the deep ball. And, you know, you look at him last year, I thought he was the Raiders' most consistent player. Threw for 4,000 yards and 22 touchdowns without a lot of help around him in that offense in Oakland.
Acquired in a trade by the Cardinals, and I think for the first time he feels, at least in the last couple years, that he's got a receiver that is equal to his own performance. He's got Fitzgerald, but the top 3 receivers returned for the Cardinals, and one of them is Roberts, and he just caught a 38-yarder. And the extra point here will go up and in. The kick by Jay Feely. So the Cardinals cash in on the Green Bay interception on a 38-yard touchdown pass. We are in the first quarter. The Packers had an 86-yard drive engineered by Aaron Rodgers, but couldn't punch it in on 4th and goal from the 1. So that 11-play drive produced nothing. A 1-play drive on a 38-yard touchdown pass by quarterback Carson Palmer gives the Cardinals out of the NFC West a 7-0 lead.
And that sudden change of possession is really going to bother Dom Capers, the defensive coordinator. Kevin, you can't give up a touchdown on the first play. You've got to go out there. You've got to be smart. You've got to know Bruce Arians and Carson Palmer are going to try and take a shot down the field after a turnover.
That's Jeremy Ross, and again with the injury to Randall Cobb, and it was an elbow injury, but probably could play should the game have been more important, is now giving way to Jeremy Ross, who will take it out of his own end zone. And this could be the heir apparent to kick returns and punt returns because of a heavier workload on offense for Randall Cobb. A 22-yard return. We check in with Clay Matthews next. '69 is the rookie from Colorado, 6'4" David Bakhtiari. He could become the first rookie for the Green Bay Packers to start the season opener at left tackle since 1985 when Ken Rutgers did it, and he starts here tonight in the first preseason game.
And he looks very poised and confident. I mean, he's gone up against one of the game's best pass rushers in practice, Clay Matthews, and has handled his own. So it's good. It's good to see from the rookie.
There was a 7-yard penalty on the kickoff return, puts the ball at the 8. It's 1st and 10. Harrell is there through the pick last time and starts on 1st and 10. Tries to slide his way through, picks up 6 on the play, and is rich out to the 9.
6 straight runs on 1st down. And you look at the left tackle and how important it is for him to gain confidence. He's a guy that was started as a red shirt freshman at Colorado, well built. I think he has the long arms you're looking for from an offensive tackle, good initial quickness. And I think the strength to anchor against the bull rushers that he's going to see week in and week out in the National Football League.
Marshall Newhouse is back in at the right tackle. Here is a 2nd down and long with a gain to the 17-yard line by Starks, who is really getting work out here. That'll make it 3rd and 1, and his gain on the play was 7 yards.
Well, a really nice run by James Starks. You're going to see him wind it all the way backside, and watch this move right here. Some suddenness to James Starks. And if he can stay healthy, Kevin, he can be a very productive player. He's very good in the passing game. I think Aaron's got a lot of confidence with him, but he's got to stay healthy.
3rd down and 1, and here comes Starks, and he does have the 1st down right there, banging his way to the 21-yard line. The Packers on the ground, ranked 20th in rushing, on a pickup of 4 right there for Starks. Like we mentioned before, the one thing with him is staying healthy, and that's something he's struggled to do.
5 different running backs started a game last year for the Packers, and we talked about 43 straight games without a 100-yard rusher. They need a guy that they can count on every down. And we talk about it being a 3-down back. They've got to find one if they feel that they have it with a couple rookies in this last draft.
Well, now here is the 4th-round pick, and the rookie out of UCLA, Jonathan Franklin, who gets a block and follows that out to the 26-yard line. He was back down there with John Kuhn. It's a gain of 4. He finished his UCLA career, Rich, as the all-time leading UCLA rusher and all-purpose yards guy.
And he was very durable at UCLA with 45 career starts. That doesn't have maybe the frame and size that Lacey has, but he has maybe better quickness and speed to get on the edge of a defense. I think he's strong for his size, and I like his toughness. I think he's going to be very good in the passing game, particularly the screen game.
2nd down and 6 after the gain of 4 by Franklin on 1st down. Bakhtiari the block at the left tackle. This is a catch by DJ Williams. And Ross, and incomplete.
And you can just see Graham Harrell. He looks much more comfortable. You're going to watch. He's going to start to his left. Watch his eyes. It's not there. Boom. Right back to the tight end. Good throw here. You got to just make the catch. You just got to be able to squeeze it. Look, really nice job there by Graham Harrell. You can just see he's much more comfortable in this offense. And again, it comes with reps. We talked about it in the pregame, you and I, Kevin. Repetition est mater studiorum for you Latin scholars. Repetition is the mother of learning. The more you do it over and over again. That's why they rep this stuff in training camp.
I got every word of that one, thanks. 3rd down and 6. Franklin remains. We're going to watch his pass blocking, too, because that was somewhat of a concern. He was improving during camp, and we've got a timeout for Green Bay. So Franklin remains. And the Packers will take it with 1:43 remaining here in the 1st quarter, and trailing on a 38-yard touchdown pass by Carson Palmer. And a look at what he did at UCLA. He was a 2nd-team All-America, too. He was highly thought of in college football. Small, but effective.
Affectionately nicknamed Jet Ski by some of his teammates in college due to his ability to lead defenders in his wake. But great vision to see the cutback lanes, very good burst and quickness. As I mentioned, the straight line speed that really gets your attention. He's got some suddenness. And just in talking to Clay Matthews and A.J. Hawk on Wednesday, they said that he is a guy that is very tough to tackle in the open field. And they were very aware when Jonathan Franklin got the ball in practice, a guy that can make you miss.
One thing the Packers have liked about Franklin and Lacey, their offenses in the run game at Alabama and UCLA are very much like the Green Bay running game. So the difference in learning has been held to a minimum. 3rd down and 6. As Harrell got the blocking he needed and finds his receiver, and that is Tyrone Walker, who has been impressive. They talked about him this morning in the inter-squad game last week. Back-to-back catches for 37 yards. And as Mike said today, he is always making a play in practice.
Well, Tyrone Walker has gotten the attention of a lot of these players, certainly the quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers mentioned him the other day. Mike McCarthy has talked about it. It's great to see a rookie free agent out of Illinois State come in and do some good things. Quick learner, picked the system up really quickly. All the checks and all the audibles, it's not easy for a young receiver.
Timeout, Arizona, a 30-second timeout.
Arizona will take the timeout as you take a look at Tyrone Walker, who has been one of those guys vying for the last 2 receiving positions on this team. And that's going to be a hotly contested thing, too. The receiver position is one that I think a lot of people think might be settled. I think the coaching staff may see it a bit differently.
Well, and it just seems like every year we do preseason games together, there's always that competition at the receiver position. And I think this wide receiver room looks a little bit different this year. No Jennings and Driver. And there's a little situation where you've got some experience with some veteran guys, but some young players that have to contribute this season.
So they got Jones, they've got Jordy Nelson, who is going to miss the entire preseason with the knee. Randall Cobb, a pretty good trio. Last year, Jarrett Boykin came out of no place and was a guy that made the franchise with his play in preseason. 1st down and 10, and a run by Franklin, who picks up 3 right there, getting to midfield.
The thing I like about Franklin is he's been very decisive in the running game, and I think that you look at him in terms of what he can do in the passing game, but Mike McCarthy wants to see a back that's going to put his foot in the ground and get north and south, and I think we see that early already from Jonathan Franklin.
2nd down and 7. There's a good block by Franklin on the drop back by Harrell, who is on the move. Matt Shaughnessy, the ex-Raider, chases him out of bounds. And he's out near a 1st down to the 43 of the Cardinals. And he picks up on the scramble 6 or 7, depending on the spot.
And this is an area where Graham Harrell has gotten a lot better. Just a sense of urgency in the pocket. You see him move his feet, step up, and now pull it down and run. This is something he didn't do a lot of in college. But in working with Tom Clements and Mike McCarthy and watching Aaron Rodgers, he knows he has to use his legs more in this offense.
Packers have been in Arizona territory on all 3 drives, yet they have not scored. Rodgers was in for the 1st drive, which picked up 86 yards, but nothing. 1st and 10, Harrell on the screws that time, caught by Jarrett Boykin, who's got the catch to the 39, the coverage by Javier Arenas. And that will take us to the conclusion of the 1st on a 4-yard completion. So a couple old friends meeting right there, Mike McCarthy and Bruce Arians. Our 1st quarter is in the books in the preseason opener. 7-0 Cardinals on the Packer Television Network. To start the 2nd quarter, let's go downstairs to Ron Burks.
Thanks, guys. I'm joined with Clay Matthews. Clay, exciting training camp for you guys. How excited are you to get Nick Perry back?
I'm real excited. Obviously, last year, going on IR, it's not the way you want to start your career, but he's rebounded wonderfully in this training camp, and we're really looking forward to his production this year.
One thing you guys want to do as a defense is get a little nastier. Is that one of the things you want to do? You get Dayton Jones in the 1st round. How's the rookie looking so far?
He's looking good. Obviously, I think he went down with an ankle injury. We don't know how severe it is, but he's looking good. And I like the nastiness of our defense. I like how we started off, gave up a big touchdown in the air, but for the most part, I felt like our front 7 and our DBs did a great job.
Johnny Jolly, it's a great story that he is back on the sideline trying to make this football team. Tell us a little bit about him and how he's been doing in training camp.
Well, he brings an edge and energy to this team that we haven't seen since he left. So we're real excited about him. He's definitely still got a lot of gas left in the tank. So we're going to be counting him a lot this year.
So everybody's expecting you to have a lot more sacks now. You got a little bit more help out front. Is that what you expected? And what kind of goals have you set for yourself going into this season?
Well, I sure hope so. I'm always trying to improve upon my statistic goals each and every year. So, 13 last year, let's get a few more this year. But for the most part, I think we just need to improve as a defense as a whole, win the games when it counts the most, and that's the playoffs.
As Clay Matthews taking some time for the media, we're going to send him right back upstairs to you guys.
3rd and 6. The ball was jarred free as they came right into the quarterback, Graham Harrell, and it was recovered by the Arizona Cardinals. The second turnover by the Packers, the second by Harrell, who is down, and look at the great beginning field position for the Cardinals.
Well, just keep an eye on the right tackle, Marshall Newhouse. He's a little late with his hands, and that's one of the things that they've been talking about now for a couple of years with him. He's got to finish plays, and he's got to use his hands more. He just gets beat around the corner, and Graham Harrell never feels the rush off the edge from John Abraham.
New quarterback is in, Drew Stanton, who played for Bruce Arians at Indianapolis a season ago, and he's got a 1st and 10 here at his own 48-yard line after the fumble and the second turnover by Green Bay. And with another carry, and Alfonso Smith out of Kentucky has been the main ball carrier tonight. It's a gain of 2. I guess I took from the interview that Rod just did with Clay Matthews, the sprained ankle of Dayton Jones, and that is not good news.
No, that certainly gets your attention. I mean, they need Dayton Jones to stay healthy. I think they finally feel they've got a legitimate replacement for Cullen Jenkins, a guy that's capable of lining up in a number of different places along that defensive line.
Packers with a 4 in the secondary and a 2nd down and 8 from midfield for the Arizona Cardinals. Stanton, who played at Michigan State, and downfield he goes, and the ball was coughed up after it's incomplete. And they were going downfield for D.C. Jefferson, who is a rookie out of Rutgers. Incomplete pass, 3rd and 8.
Well, the receiver on the outside is going to go to the post, and the tight end goes to the corner. Looks like he's just struggling with it. Never has possession. It's the right call by the official.
And we just saw McMillan over there covering. And, Rich, we've talked about the battle at the other safety opposite Morgan Burnett in the starting defensive secondary for Green Bay.
That's a good problem to have. 2 players that played a lot of snaps last year, Jerron McMillan and M.D. Jennings. And, of course, no one played any more snaps than Morgan Burnett. One of only 2 defenders in the entire National Football League to appear in 100% of the team's snaps last year. They almost wore out Morgan Burnett.
That's a good note. Packers were lining up with 6 in the secondary, but the concern now for the number 1 pick, Dayton Jones. Timeout taken by Arizona. We'll pause here in Green Bay. $46 million south end zone expansion, the 2-year project. The outside still under construction. Inside, though, it is absolutely beautiful. After the timeout, 3rd and 8. Stanton. And he's got a receiver. Wide open and a good catch by Charles Hawkins, who takes it inside the 15 and out of bounds at the 14-yard line. A good throw by Stanton, a pickup of 37 yards. It will be a 1st and 10.
A little double move against Devon House. You're going to see the receiver. He's going to start outside. You see Devon House jump the out route, and they turn it right up the outside sideline there. Very nice throw by the quarterback, and you see Hawkins making a big play over Devon House.
Hawkins, a rookie free agent out of Southern. He's only 5'8", but that time he looked very spry, and they work on House. So now they got it 1st and 10 at the Green Bay 14. And once again, up the middle, they send Alfonso Smith, who's down to the 11-yard line, and he picks up 3. Moses making the stop for the Packers at the linebacker.
You look at the Cardinals, they actually signed Drew Stanton before they signed Carson Palmer. Drew Stanton had been the backup last year in Indianapolis behind Andrew Luck on that team that Bruce Arians was the play caller for. So certainly there's some familiarity in this system with a guy like Drew Stanton. As you see the Packers trying to make a late substitution.
2nd down and 7 for the Arizona Cardinals. And Stanton underneath. And it's Hawkins again. And waylaid that time in the defensive secondary. Micah Hyde got him. And it's a gain of about 7 yards. They'll put him at about the 3, and it is a 1st down. So 1st and goal for the Arizona Cardinals, and a nice display by Hawkins.
Yeah, and you can just see the confusion in the secondary from the Packers. And communication is so important with all the substitutions that are going to take place during the course of this game. And that's really a challenge for these safeties to make sure these corners get lined up properly.
1st and goal for Arizona. And slicing to the 1-yard line, a run by Alphonso Smith, who picks up 2. The first score of the game was a 38-yard touchdown pass from Carson Palmer. And a fumble by Harrell gave Rich the Cardinals great beginning field position at their own 48.
And you've seen throughout the first half, they're throwing the ball down the field, and that's really a staple of the Bruce Arians offense. They're going to take their shots. 2 or 3 times this series, they're going to try and push the ball down the field, and they've done it tonight with some double moves on these Packer corners.
Timeout taken by the Cardinals. 51 new players on the Cardinal roster. They went 5-11 a season ago. Ken Wisenhunt had taken them for a while. Arians comes back, and we talked a bit about what he did for the Colts, the NFL Coach of the Year, and accepts this job. And he's got some pretty good pieces on the offensive side to work with. There's a new general manager in Steve Keim, so they really revamped the entire football side of the Cardinals.
I think they're going to turn things around quickly in Arizona. You mentioned Steve Keim started as a scout with the organization back in 1999, recently served as the vice president in charge of player personnel. His first big decision was to bring in Bruce Arians. And he's a guy that was highly sought after by a number of teams, decided on Arizona. And the first thing that they did was address the quarterback position.
After the timeout by the Cardinals, 2nd down and goal. They bring in the fullback, Jim Dre, who's also a tight end. Stanton, and just out of the reach of the aforementioned tight end, and also they had D.C. Jefferson, who was trying for it. That makes it now 3rd down and goal. Jefferson had a catch earlier in the contest, and what set him up here was a long 36-yard completion to Hawkins. Packers bring in a couple extra defensive backs. They also bring in Mike Daniels on that defensive line. 3rd and goal. And that is caught for a touchdown. Jaron Brown out of Clemson, a rookie free agent. A touchdown pass by Stanton. The 2nd touchdown pass tonight by the Cardinals, who now go up 13-0.
And they pick on the rookie, Micah Hyde. Just never finds the ball. You anticipate when you're playing press man-to-man coverage down in this part of the field, that fade route. Never sees the ball leave the hand of Drew Stanton.
1-yard touchdown pass by Stanton, and here's the extra point by Feely, which is up and true, and 14-0 is the score. Both touchdowns off of Green Bay turnovers, and just like that, early in the 2nd quarter, 14-0 the Cardinals. The touchdown pass is coming from 2 different quarterbacks. Back at Lambeau in Green Bay, we're in the 2nd quarter, and a couple touchdown passes by the Cardinals on 2 turnovers by the Packers. Packers have had 2 11-play drives, and neither resulting in points. 5-11 Cardinals looking to change things. They're a lot more aggressive, Rich, and you were talking about this just moments ago, throwing the ball.
Yeah, the Cardinals going after some of these young Packer corners in the passing game with some double moves and some shots down the field. You get a good look at Micah Hyde up there on the sidelines. Their 5th-round pick, a guy that has had a very good training camp so far, according to Mike McCarthy.
Will Batson will be kicking off. Ross will take it out of the end zone for Green Bay. And he gets some nice blocking and finds a seam, and he's up to the 21-yard line with the return. And the tackle on the play was made by a defensive back, Tyrann Mathieu. I think you know him as the Honey Badger. And there is Graham Harrell, who has had a tough night with a couple turnovers.
And I think the big thing with Graham is this is his time to shine. He's got to get in there and get these guys going, have some fun. This is what preseason football is all about if you're a veteran guy. Have some fun, make some good throws, make some good decisions. And the other thing, you have to have a short memory. You make a mistake, you have to be able to turn the page and move on.
1st and 10 with Franklin in the backfield, and outside they go. And this is a kid who has looked good tonight in Tyrone Walker. The rookie, and a flag has been thrown on the play. It's a pickup of 6 as it stands right now to the 27-yard line. And we'll see what we see on this penalty by Carl Sheffer's crew.
Personal foul, face mask, number 58 defense. That 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. Automatic. 1st down.
It's the Pro Bowl linebacker, Darrell Washington. The 2nd quarter, by the way, tonight, folks, on the Packer Television Network is sponsored by Menards. Save big money at Menards. So first down and 10. 42-yard line for the Packers. Graham Harrell, a couple years out of Texas Tech. His dad was a high school coach. He was under Mike Leach down in Lubbock with the Red Raiders and set all kinds of records in the Big 12 football conference. Franklin will get it on first and 10. Hit on the play by Washington, gain of 3, and Rich up to the 45.
Boy, they threw it a ton at Texas
They
Tech.
did.
I mean, he threw it 50, 60 times a game, and he spent so much time, Kevin, in the shotgun. And, he had to learn to play from under center. And I think the first couple of years, it took him a little while. I think he's much more comfortable under center. He's doing a much better job getting away from center with his drops.
That's a good point. Here's a second down and 7 as they swing it outside, and with the grab there is Jeremy Ross, who was off the Packer practice squad last season, played a lot of special teams and picks up 6 right there.
Yeah, I think you're seeing Graham Harrell doing a better job with his location on throws, and I think you can also see the velocity, particularly with the out cuts and the down the field throws.
Third and a couple. And Franklin tries to take it and brought down with Jonathan Amaya tackle. Let's look at Franklin. Packers, as we mentioned before, with Eddie Lacy, who is not going to play tonight because of a hamstring. And as big as he is, Rich, and as strong as he is, it's important that they not to do anything to kind of screw up that hamstring injury.
No, he's going to be a special player for the Packers. They're real excited about him. He had a terrific scrimmage on Friday night, and just being smart with the hamstring that's sore right now.
First down and 10. Van Roten is out there, and there's a throw to Franklin. He's looking for some blocking, and this is what he does so well. He gets in space and finds a lot of room and picks up 9 on the catch and run to the 38-yard line of the Arizona Cardinals.
And this is where I think he can be so good, and I think this is where the Packers can be a lot better with a back like Jonathan Franklin in the screen game. I'd like to see him catch it the first time, but boy, when he gets out in space, as we've been talking about the entire night, he can make people miss. He can generate some big plays if you just find different ways, creative ways to get him the ball.
Been talking a lot about the offensive line tonight, and Don Barkley now is taking the place of Newhouse at that right tackle position. We're going to talk about him when we come back. There's an injury on the field. Lambeau in Green Bay with 9:18 remaining in the first half. 14-0 Cardinals. We're talking about Don Barkley before. He and Marshall Newhouse are in that fight for the #1 right tackle position, a starting position on that line.
Right, and we've been talking about Newhouse. Kevin, he's got to play better. We've been talking about finishing runs, doing a better job with his hands and pass protection, and Barkley's a guy that can play both guard and tackle.
Second down and 1 after the injury timeout, and it really didn't last that long because the player jumped up and off the field. Franklin taking it and didn't pick up anything on the play. Among the guys in on the tackle, Kevin Minter, who is a rookie out of LSU. So you see Barkley, and he's been playing kind of all over the line. When the injury to Bulaga happened, Rich, they had to kind of shuffle some guys, and that's one of the trademarks of the Packer offensive line.
Right, and the fact that they are cross-trained. In other words, they can learn different positions, and I think it helps them ultimately wherever they wind up. The fact that he has played guard, he has played tackle, he has played on the left side.
And that, they think, makes him more versatile. There's a good-looking catch and a first down throw. Nope, he bobbled it incomplete. Did not hold on to the ball, and so a drop pass by DJ Williams for a second time tonight, bringing up 4th and 1, and Green Bay is going to keep their offense on the field, and Amaya was covering in the secondary for the Cardinals.
Graham Harrell's had a couple drops tonight, and the thing I do see, Kevin, is the ball is coming out quick. He's making good decisions, getting the ball out of his hands quick. Got man-to-man coverage here.
4th and 1 from the Cardinal 39.
False start.
Barkley had the block on that wing. Flag is thrown, as you see, and a false start, as Rich just said.
67, offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
That was on Barkley, as we're just talking about him, so a 4th and 1 now.
I think that might have been on the center. I think he was late with the ball. Kevin, I think everybody moved waiting. I think the center might have been a little late with the snap.
So they called him. The center right now is Greg Van Roten, who has been shifting around. He's worked at center much of the offseason, but he can play 3 positions, and he may have been caught. But Barkley was the one signaled up. Regardless, they got to punt the ball. And to do that is Tim Mastey. First Green Bay penalty results in a 4th and about 6. And fair caught back at the 11 by Arenas, the former Kansas City Chief. 33-yard, well-placed punt. So, another look at the offense of the Arizona Cardinals, and the Packers back on defense as they trail on a couple touchdown passes by Cardinal quarterbacks Carson Palmer and that guy right there, Drew Stanton.
We had a chance to visit with Tom Capers this morning, Kevin, and one of the things he talked about is one of the positives from last year was that they've got major contributions from the draft picks from a year ago. You think about Worthy and Daniels and Hayward and McMillan and Nick Perry before the injury, even solid play from Manning on special teams. We're not afraid to play young players.
Stephen Taylor comes in. He's a rookie out of Stanford, and a handoff and a flag thrown on 1st and 10. It was a gain of a couple on the play, and we'll see what happens on this.
Offside, number 54, defense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
And Moses, who has battled a toe issue in training camp and was one of the surprise kids last year for Green Bay, is a player that didn't come in with a lot of hoopla. He was a free agent out of Tulane and made his mark on this defense. 1st and 5 with the Green Bay penalty.
We're in legal formation right now. Need somebody on the line of scrimmage over here.
And they get Brown, who had caught a pass earlier in the game, a touchdown pass, and tackle made by C.J. Wilson on the handoff to the rookie Taylor, and no gain on the play. There's a lot of competition on that defensive line, Rich. A lot of versatility among the players, but a lot of competition. They want to keep 6, and they've got 8 guys in the rotation.
Right. Now, I think they're built a little bit differently now up front. I think they've got a little diversity when you talk about the size and the talent level of certain players. The addition of Dayton Jones gives them some flexibility with what they can do defensively.
2nd down and 4, and they go to Brown outside, who makes the catch. The defense that time by Micah Hyde, and it's a gain of 8. Well, there's a look at Johnny Jolly, who is back with the Green Bay Packers after having a tough time. Returns after 3 years of suspensions and time in prison and rehab. He's now 30 after leaving Green Bay 3 years ago.
He just needs to play. As the coaching staff has pointed out, he needs all these snaps in preseason. He's just rusty. He needs to get out there and play and get comfortable once again in this defense.
Here's Taylor, good stop outside, and that was made by the linebacker for the Packers on no gain on the play by Andy Mulumba, who is out of Eastern Michigan, but more importantly, a kid who hasn't played a lot of football. He's from the Congo.
Right, we're talking about this defensive line, Kevin. I've been talking about the diversity in terms of their body type and talent. They've got some more length and I think pass rush talent, more so than what they've had in the past. And we've been talking about the need for somebody opposite Clay Matthews to be able to come off the edge and be disruptive in their sub-pass rush defense.
Into that nickel on 2nd and 10. It's incomplete, and the coverage right there by Jamari Lattimore. He's played some good special teams and trying to win an inside linebacker position. Incomplete, and 3rd and 10 now for the Cardinals.
And that competition inside, you've got A.J. Hawk and Brad Jones, the starters. You've got Rob Francois. We talked about Manning and Lattimore. It's going to be a tough battle in determining how many linebackers they keep inside. All can play special teams.
3rd and 10. Drew Stanton is the quarterback who's thrown a touchdown pass tonight, and they need the 35. Stanton wide open in the middle. Boy, they found the open receiver that time, and again it goes to Brown, who picks up 17 on the play. Brown had a touchdown reception earlier of a yard. It's a 1st down.
Passing off from the outside to the inside and just knowing inside to drop in that zone. We're talking about that pass rush. They just rushed 4 there. They've got to do a better job with the 4-man rush. Getting pressure and collapsing the pocket.
1st down and 10 from the 42, and here comes Taylor again. Big hole that time, and he was upended as he goes head over heels for a gain of 4 to the 46-yard line. Francois makes the stop on Taylor, who is a terrific running back at Stanford. He had 3 consecutive years for the Cardinals. Did Taylor 1,000 yards each of those seasons. As you take a look at Stanton. 2nd down and 6. Packers playing the nickel from the Cardinal 46. Taylor was grabbed as he took it over. Picks up a yard on the play.
Well, a lot like the Packers, the Cardinals drafted 2 running backs this year. As you point out, Kevin, Stephon Taylor, 5th rounder out of Stanford, and Andre Ellington, a 6th rounder out of Clemson. You look at the running back position in Arizona, both Mendenhall and Williams have struggled with injuries in their past. Big reason why they took the 2 running backs in the draft. And
yeah, Ryan Williams just can't stay healthy after a nice career at Virginia Tech.
And he's a talented player, but again, the availability is so important at that running back position.
He's out right now with the knee as Mike McCarthy takes a look at 3rd and 5. With his defense trying to hold the Cardinals right here.
Whoa.
Oh, they come through, and he got away that time from Francois and runs for a first down. Chased over there by James Nixon. Francois just about had him. Picks up 7. First down Cardinals, and they take it to the Green Bay 46.
Boy, he times it up perfectly. He just swings and misses. He's got him right there. The back gets a little bit of piece of him, but he's got to find a way to get Drew Stanton on the ground. It's not that often you get a free shot at the quarterback. Cardinals do not do a good job handling the pressure up inside the center guard gap.
No sacks tonight by Green Bay's defense. It is 1st and 10 from the 46-yard line of the Packers. Taylor, and not a whole lot there as he spins for 4, finds the 43-yard line. Like we said about Drew Stanton before, they signed him before they made the trade for Palmer. And Stanton really was looked upon as a guy that would definitely try to rectify what was a horrible Cardinal quarterback situation a year ago.
They were awful. I mean, you think about Cobb, and they started out 4-0. And then they just struggle. He gets hurt. Skelton comes in. He's not very effective. Lindley.
2nd down and about 7. And here comes Taylor again. Run out of bounds on the play by M.D. Jennings. Going for one of those open safety positions, and it's a 16-yard gain. Another first down for Arizona.
Boy, Taylor's not very big, but he is quick. I mean, the all-time leading rusher at Stanford, over 4,300 yards and 45 touchdowns. Commits very quickly to the hole, and for a smaller back, he won't shy away from contact.
Over a 5-minute drive by the Cardinals, and this drive began back at their 11-yard line. Now with a 1st and 10 from the Green Bay 28 to the end zone. Stanton. And incomplete, looking for Brown, and the coverage on the play for Green Bay by James Nixon, who last week in the inter-squad game had an interception and returned it 65 yards for a touchdown.
Boy, they're getting challenged, the Packer cornerbacks. I mean, they're throwing the ball down the field, it seems like every other play. And a little pushing right there that's not called. You can see Jerron Brown pushing off right there on Nixon.
They have high hopes for Brown. He's 6'2", and he had some injury issues, and now it is 2nd down and 10 for the Cardinals, who have gotten a touchdown pass of a yard from Stanton and 38 yards from Carson Palmer. From the Packer 28. Shuffle pass. Incomplete. 3rd and 10.
But Dom Capers has been playing a lot of man-to-man coverage tonight, Kevin, and I think it's by design. I think he wants to look at these cornerbacks and see how they cover.
Which is something that he told us this morning as we visited with him. You just want to see your guys in these preseason games in different situations. So what they play in terms of scheme may not really make a lot of sense when you're talking about what they would do in the regular year.
Right, and I think it's important to get a look at them and evaluate them and see what they can do. And I think because of the injuries to Tramon Williams and Casey Hayward, the young corners have benefited from a lot more reps for the first couple weeks of training camp.
3rd down and 10. 4 of 4 Stanton is on 3rd down in a crumbling pocket, and this time they get him. Nice pressure that time. They've been looking for that, and Francois got that quarterback that time after having him slip through his grasp earlier in the drive.
A really nice job, a coordinated pass rush. Really nowhere for the quarterback to go. You're going to see the blitz come, and quarterback steps up. Nice job with the push up inside. You see Johnny Jolly right there, and Francois able to get the quarterback on the ground.
So it makes it a very difficult field goal try here for 37-year-old Jay Feely of 53 yards. And he was terrific last season, and he's going to be short on this try. He ended last year hitting 14 consecutive field goals, but misses right there. He was money a year ago, 25 of 28. So a 53-yard miss Packers will get the ball back, and downstairs we go to Ron Burks.
Thanks, guys. I'm joined by James Jones, coming off a big year, 14 touchdowns. You're the leader now. No more Greg Jennings, Donald Driver. Can you talk about how your role has changed this season?
I'm a lot more vocal. We got a lot of young guys. They all look up to me, Randall and Jordy. I know Randall's in his third year, but we got a young room, and he's a leader in that room. And just being a lot more vocal, it's a little uncommon because I'm a guy that leads by example, but they ask me a lot of questions and just try to do my best to be a leader for them.
Of those young guys, you're waiting for one of those guys to take a big leap. Who in your eyes, is taking that leap?
Right now, Jeremy Ross is having a great camp. Boykin and Tyrone Walker is having a great camp. So out of them three, it's some tough competition, and I'm excited to see how they play tonight.
What are you expecting out of your offense this season? You also want them to play a lot better than last season.
Just the tempo. We want to be a lot faster in and out of the huddle when we go no huddle and when we go regular standard offense. So we want to speed it up a little bit. We have fast-paced offense, and hopefully when we get down in the red zone, we score some more points.
Once you guys click, you're clicking for good. Now you got a chance. Now you have to get out of this game, out of this stadium, right? Because coach excused you. Are you expecting something today?
I'm expecting a little boy. He could come any minute, any time. So I'm excited about that. It's my second boy, so it'll be good to bring another little man into the family.
All right, now do you want your little kids to be playing some football too as they grow up?
I don't care if they do, but I think they are because all my little man talks about is football. Every time I come home, he want to throw the ball, so I think I got a little Aaron Rodgers on my hand.
All right, that's James Jones. We're sending it right back up to you guys up in the studio.
Good stuff, Rod. And James Jones, we talked about his 14 touchdown receptions, which led the NFL a year ago. I'd let him go now. Just let him get out of there and go see his wife, and let's get that baby born here.
He's a terrific Packer. This wide receiving core, going back to when Sterling Sharp was here, Donald Driver, they've always prided themselves on taking care of the younger players and being a good example. And now the torch has been passed to guys like James Jones and Jordy Nelson to help out the younger guys.
Your running back is Alex Green. They go outside. Good-looking catch by Jarrett Boykin. It was a throw by Harrell, and the gain of about 5 on the play to the 48-yard line. That was a beauty.
A good opportunity here for this offense, Graham Harrell, to execute a 2-minute offense, a 2-minute drill here before the half.
We've reached the 2-minute warning. The Packers do have a timeout. They've got good beginning field position, and we'll take a break as well as they trail by 2 touchdowns here in preseason game number 1. Okay, we're back in Lambeau in Green Bay, and we've had a couple turnovers by the Packers, which the Cardinals have cashed in on with 2 touchdown passes. We hope you join us next Saturday night when this road show will take you to the Dome in St. Louis, and the Packers head to take on Sam Bradford and the Rams, all starting with the Marshfield Clinic countdown to kickoff show beginning at 6:30 p.m., followed by the Packers and the Rams at 7 o'clock. That's the Packers and the Rams in preseason game number 2 next week from St. Louis. 2-minute warning, 2nd down and 6. 1 timeout remaining for Harrell, who has turned it over twice tonight from his own 47-yard line. And Green is hit right off the bat, coming back from the surgically repaired left knee. Got injured last year after blowing that knee his rookie season. They think, though, he's lost some weight, Rich, and he's kind of back to where they thought he might be.
Well, he's a productive guy when he can stay healthy, but that's been the problem with Alex Green and James Starks, just the availability. Big 3rd down here.
Loses 2 right there. 3rd down and 8 from the 45. Green with a block. And Harrell running for his life. Bakhtiari that time had let his guy go, and so that applied the pressure. It is incomplete. Or do they say he caught? Nope, he did not. Incomplete. They got a punt.
Well, he's trying to give the receiver a chance. Would have been a terrific catch.
Sure would have been.
Well, he had Ty Walker earlier in the progression. He just didn't have a chance to set his feet. Got flushed.
Packers have got a punt, so they've had a 1st and goal on the drive led by Aaron Rodgers to start the game. They could not punch it in from 4th and goal at the 1. They were intercepted. They fumbled, and this is their 2nd consecutive punt. Minnesota will send it with the first 3 and out recorded by the Green Bay offense tonight. Back at the 10-yard line, that was brought in by Javier Arenas, who played at Alabama. 44-yard punt, and Harrell with some mixed results tonight, but I think overall, aside from the turnovers, they're seeing some things that they thought might have been missing from his preseason work a year ago, where he really struggled.
Yeah, I just think you got to be frustrated if you're the Packers offense. Some wasted opportunities. Kevin, you talked about that first drive. They get down there, they can't punch it in from the one, and of course, Graham Harrell, they've missed on some opportunities. A couple drops by the tight end, and of course the interception, and a bit of frustrating night offensively for the Packers.
Saw number 9, Stan. That's B.J. Coleman, who's going to play in the second half as Taylor takes it on a 1st and 10 with Stanton watching his running back pick up a couple yards. B.J. Coleman played a pretty poor game last week in the inter-squad game, and he is a guy that really is on the hot seat right now, with Vince Young being brought in to be the 4th quarterback in training camp for Green Bay.
Yeah, he just hasn't made the progress that they were hoping for from B.J. Coleman from year 1 to year 2, and typically that's where we see the most progress and we're from year 1 to year 2, where you've had the entire offseason in the quarterback school, the extra reps to really kind of refine your skills in this offense.
Here's a 2nd down and 8. Taylor has it again and wrapped up by Lattimore. And he picks up 7 on the play, which brings a 3rd and 1 to the Cardinals, who are out of timeouts here in the first half, and the clock continues to tick.
They'll just run this thing out and get into halftime with a 14-0 lead, but not very often do we see the Packers go scoreless in the first half, and I think that's got to be the frustrating thing for Mike McCarthy and the offensive staff, is that they've had some opportunities, they've moved the ball at times, but they just haven't been able to capitalize, and they've not been good enough on 3rd down.
That's going to do it. Green Bay had 167 yards of offense in the first half, and they did not score. And they did have a 1st and goal led by Aaron Rodgers, but they could not cash in. A couple turnovers by the Packers, 2 touchdown passes, the result for Arizona, and 14-0 is our halftime score. We'll come back to Lambeau and our halftime show after this on the Green Bay Packer Television Network. A lot to digest in this first half. Rod Burks is with Mike McCarthy, the head coach of the Green Bay Packers.
Thanks, guys. I'm joined with Coach McCarthy. Coach, you guys are down 14-0. What's your impressions of your team in the first half?
Well, just what I told the football team. Obviously, offense, we got to take care of the football. 2 turnovers obviously led to scores, and finish drives. We've been moving the ball, a lot of productivity. We got to finish drive, good points. Defense, we need to tackle better, tighten up the coverage. We need to take away the football. So with that, we need a big play on special teams. We've just kind of gone back and forth, and hopefully we'll get it right here on the kickoff return.
Hey, what did you tell the guys in the locker room, and what did you want to see in the second half to change this game around?
Win the damn game. I mean, we're here to win, get the energy up. It's been a long week. We got that. A lot of guys are getting a big opportunity here in the second half, playing more football than they probably would normally in week 1, and just take advantage of it.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
You're right.
You heard what he said there, Rich. He says, win the game.
Something like that. Hey, he's pretty fired up, right? And this will get you fired up. I mean, the indecision, you see the little bit of an indecision there from Graham Harrell. Of course, 14 points off of 2 Packer turnovers. That can't happen. As Mike talked about, Kevin, defensively, they've got to tackle better. They've got to tighten up the coverage. They need a spark. They need a big play, whether it comes on offense or even in the kicking game. They need something to get this team going in the second half.
And that was the 1-yard touchdown pass to Brown as he was working on Green Bay's defensive back, Micah Hyde. And Mike McCarthy, who's in his 8th season, playoffs as we just saw, 5 of the previous 7. The one thing that Green Bay does, as you take a look at Graham Harrell, is they really count on internal growth, Rich, and development. They're not a big free agent team. We've seen that in the past. They're very selective if they do. But they really want to draft these kids, develop these kids, and then they play them.
Yeah, it's a draft and develop philosophy, as you point out. And, half the players on the roster were drafted by Ted Thompson. And Ted usually dominates on draft day, and they're going to continue to do that. They're not a team that spends a lot of their money or their focus in free agency. I think the best thing that Ted Thompson did this offseason was sign Aaron Rodgers and Clay Matthews to long-term contract extensions. They want to keep their own and do a great job drafting. And then once they draft them, they do a tremendous job developing them. And a lot of that credit needs to go to the coaching staff. Ted Thompson, Mike McCarthy work very well together. I think they see the game the same way. They're looking for tough, disciplined players that want to be Packers.
One thing that I know a lot of personnel people like to do, and you just saw Ted Thompson on the sideline, they want to look at the kid's face when they're coming off that field and get a feel for how he's reacting. Regardless of the situation, and people say, why didn't they spend more time in the booth? And they do, and he did in the first half. He'll now be on the sideline for the second. Here comes Franklin, about a yard deep in the end zone. The rookie from UCLA who's seen a lot of work tonight. Richie's out to the 12-yard line, but seeing those eyes, reading the facial expression, that's a pretty big thing for a GM, any personnel guy.
Yeah, it's a great point that you bring up there, Kevin. As Ted Thompson's down on the field, he wants to see the players come off the field. He wants to see they have those big round eyes. Is it too much for them, or are they comfortable out there? I think that's what you want to see from the young players. And Mike McCarthy always talks about that. A good look at Ted Thompson right there. He's down right there in the action. He wants to see how these players respond to the opportunity that they have in front of them this evening.
Former NFL linebacker, 9th year with the Packer organization. He's drafted 11 players and signed more than 30 street free agents. So a lot of offseason activity for Green Bay. Packers been running a lot on first down. They don't hear. Harrell looking to go deep, and some pretty good protection. He goes underneath this time, and doesn't find a lot of gain on the play. It goes to Jonathan Amosa. It's a gain of 2, so it'll be 2nd down and 8.
Really, I thought this was a good decision by Graham Harrell. Take a shot down the field, two-man route. It's not there. Does the next best thing, trying to check it down. Not making a mistake coming out of his own end zone.
We'll see some B.J. Coleman play in this game, and they tell us Vince Young is going to get some snaps. Could be late in the game, but they plan to use him as the running back in this series is Alex Green. He's now set in motion. 2nd down and 8 from the Green Bay 14-yard line. Green, and this is caught once again by really the one-star offensively tonight in the gain of 5 for Tyrone Walker, who catches that at the 20. They're still about 3 yards shy of a first.
Yeah, he runs nice little routes and looks very comfortable in the slot. Does a good job getting his hands right, catching the ball away from his body. Confident catcher. I think a guy that can make some plays after the catch.
3rd down and 3. We're seeing a lot of time. He has thrown an interception. He has fumbled the ball. They need the 23, and he slings this a little bit high and incomplete for Brandon Bostic, who is out of Newberry, free agent, and so the Packers are going to have to punt in their first second-half possession.
Boy, he just can't get anything going offensively, and I think that's the frustrating thing right now for Mike McCarthy. He wants to see somebody make a play on this offense.
2nd straight 3 and out, and 3rd consecutive punt coming up here for Green Bay as Mike McCarthy will watch Tim Mastay punt. No one in camp to challenge him. He's been, as Bob McGinn of the Journal-Sentinel wrote, as steady as an oak with his punting. Had the punt record in Green Bay history last year at 38.9 net. And fair caught on the run right around the 41-yard line, and so we'll take a look at Arizona's offense. They lead 14-0 early in the 3rd. Back at Lambeau in Green Bay, and all rights to this broadcast are reserved, and any rebroadcast, recording, retransmission, or other use of this broadcast without the expressed written permission of the NFL is prohibited.
Strictly prohibited.
I did, the word wasn't written there.
Typo. Strictly.
But in your vernacular, what's that mean in Latin? Like you threw at us in the first half.
Don't do it.
Yeah, right. 1st down and 10. The rookie Taylor out of Stanford in the backfield, and Stanton was drilled as he threw. Nice catch made downfield. 1st down throw caught by Jerron Brown. He's had a big-time night. 17-yard pickup to the Green Bay 41.
A really nice job by the quarterback, Drew Stanton, just sitting in here with a firm, tough jaw, knowing he's going to get hit. Wow. Really nice throw down the field.
You can see right now their backup quarterback situation in Arizona is amongst the best in the league, probably.
Yeah, Stanton's playing well. He looks comfortable.
Kirk
Eyes
Cousins
down the field, doesn't feel the rush.
In Washington, they got Kirk Cousins, who's a pretty good backup to RG3, too. In fact, Cousins played well the other night. 1st and 10. Here he throws a bolt, and that's right on. He threw behind the receiver, Brown, that time. It's incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
I think that's a problem right now in the league. I don't think there's enough depth and talent at the most critical position, the quarterback position. And I think the Packers historically have done a very good job developing that position. They want to see more from Graham Harrell. Obviously, they're concerned about B.J. Coleman, but they have a great luxury in the fact that Aaron Rodgers is a tough guy. Kevin hasn't come off the field, but you have to have somebody in that backup position that you trust that can win games for you.
Taylor on 2nd and 10 picks up 3. And Rich, there was a lot of criticism of the Packers nationally when they signed Vince Young. And the deal was there just is not that much quality on the free agent market in backup quarterbacks right now.
Well, I don't think it really costs them anything to bring in Vince Young and to take a look. I think that Tom Clements, Mike McCarthy feel good that we got the best quarterback in football and that guy right there, and Aaron Rodgers. But I think they're trying to create some competition at that position.
They need it.
And Vince Young certainly brings a different dimension to the quarterback room, something that they don't really have, a guy that can make a lot of plays with his legs.
Yeah, we're going to call a timeout. Stanton didn't like the way his team was lining up. A flag was thrown. They do call a delay a game.
Penalty, third down.
He thought that maybe they were going to call the timeout, but they threw the flag and the penalty assessed before they recognized him calling time. So it's now 3rd and 12. And that's nothing against Young, who was in the Buffalo camp a year ago, Cutton camp, and sat out all of last year. And as you take a look at Rodgers and Vince Young, who they think is going to play tonight late in the game as he warms up. They got about 12 plays they think he's comfortable with after being in camp just this week.
Really a tough spot for Vince Young to try and learn what is a very complicated offense in just a couple days.
It's 3rd and 12. He gets by the rush that time and whips it downfield, and that is caught for a first down. He got by Johnny Jolly, who had pushed it upfield, and he couldn't get him, and a first down reception made, 26-yard line, 17-yard pickup, and they move the chains.
Well, I'll tell you, some of these young Cardinal receivers have looked really good tonight. You see the pressure again. Johnny Jolly right there. Nice job by Stanton spinning out, finding the open receiver downfield. And a good job by those young receivers coming back to the scrambling quarterback. Johnny Jolly getting a lot of snaps here. He needs them.
Charles Hawkins comes up with another good catch. He's had a big night so far receiving for the Cardinals. It is 1st and 10. This is Taylor finding some room and getting outside, and finally brought down on the play and out of bounds by Hyde, who was the Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year at the University of Iowa. There he is right there. Gain of 8 with the tackle at the 18.
Played in every game for the Hawkeyes over the course of his career at Iowa. And he's another guy that gives him some flexibility. Can play corner and safety and special teams at Iowa. Very good tackler, and he does a nice job driving on the ball and playing the ball when it's in the air. So good young prospect for the Packers.
3 tight ends and 2nd down and short, and Taylor will find himself wrapped up by Nate Palmer, who is a 6th-round pick and a rookie out of Illinois State, and a gain of 3, and they do get the first down to the 15 of Green Bay to the 14-yard line of the Packers. Now they put it back at the 15.
Well, they just need something to happen defensively. Somebody's got to make a play. A strip sack, fumble, or interception, something to get this team going.
First and 10 again, the 3 tight end set. And Taylor, and hit immediately as he hits the line. Jordan Miller coming through. Josh Boyd was in there as well. Loss of 2 in 2nd and 12, Rich.
You look at a lot of these young players, some of these draft picks, as we look at Josh Boyd. They played a lot of games in college. Josh Boyd played 51 games with 41 starts at Mississippi State. And if you look at this draft class, Kevin, Ted Thompson, he went and picked players that had a lot of experience in college, guys that played in a lot of games over their 4 years.
Boyd, a rookie 5th-round pick for the Packers. 2nd down and 12 for Stanton. And across the middle, he finds his main target, Jerron Brown, who is just inside the 15 and picks up perhaps 2-3 yards on the play. As the Cardinals are again deep in Packer territory and leading on 2 touchdown passes, one by Palmer, one by the current quarterback out of Michigan State, Drew Stanton, and both those spun off of Green Bay turnovers. 3rd and 9 here. Packers are now operating with 5, make it 6 defensive backs. 3rd and 9. Stanton on the move and slips away and backpedals to about the 12. As he's running around and hitting, finally brought down by Dante Savage, who's making the conversion from defensive end in college to outside linebacker in the NFL. A yard gained on the play by Stanton.
A 3-by-1 formation. You see Stanton pull it down. Lattimore is going to come up and make this play, at least initially. Stanton running around for his life tonight.
Will Batson, who is out of North Alabama, will try a field goal of 31 yards. and he does not get it. He's in a fight there to go against the veteran Jay Feely, who's coming off the sensational 2012. Long drive by the Cardinals. They get nothing. Packers hold him out. Packers take over when we come back to Lambeau. Ron Brooks is on the sideline for us tonight. He's got a very special guest. Rod?
Thanks, guys. We're joined by the starting tight end of the Green Bay Packers, Jermichael Finley, who's having an excellent camp. I've been watching you this week. You seem like you have a different mindset going into camp. You seem like a different guy. What are you doing differently?
It's all about doing the things the right way, man. My mindset different, and I just want to come in and be the best and help my team win games.
Now this week it got a little hot during the week, a couple of fights. I seen you run a couple people over. Is this team just getting this nasty thing going on here?
Around the league we got the little rep of being soft. So we got to come out and be nasty a little, and that's what we did in practice.
Obviously, that's been resonating in the locker room. But let's get back to you now. You've gained a little weight. You seem a little bit bigger. Seem a little bit stronger. Is that what you want to do? To put on some weight so you can be a little bit more active and run a couple people over?
Overall, man, I just wanted to come back and just be the best and just be stronger. You need me in the run game, so I will be there in the run game.
What can a Packer fans expect out of you this year?
Just to play fast. Play hard and. Like I say, try to help my team win games.
That's Jermichael Finley. We'll send it back up to you guys.
Great on 2nd down and 7. Franklin trying to find some room. There's Jermichael Finley, who they had to make a decision, Rich, and it was a pretty important financial decision back in March where they pull the trigger and activate the second year, which they did. And so now he's in a contract year, but they're paying him a lot of money. He makes the second most on Green Bay.
Yeah, but I get the sense, Kevin, he's hungry. I think his focus is better. I think the attention to detail, he's been better in practice with his routes and his finish. And I think he's stronger. I think he's going to be better as an inline player as well as a guy that can do a lot of different things when they move him around in this offense.
3rd down and 4. They get a first down to who else? Tyrone Walker. He's out of the Illinois State program and a rookie. School's all-time leader in receptions, picks up 7. First down for Green Bay to the 34.
It's great to see a young player take advantage of the opportunity.
That's his 4th reception tonight. He looked good last week, and now they go outside to Alex Gillette, who is out of Eastern Michigan, a rookie free agent, and quickly spun down on the play, and he doesn't pick up anything right there. Bethel is the one to bring him down. They like this guy, and they think Mike McCarthy told us this morning that Alex Gillette has been making plays every day of training camp so far.
Well, it's a good thing when Aaron Rodgers singles you out, and Gillette has had a really fine camp. So every day in practice, the guy makes a play or two, which gets the attention of those quarterbacks.
Franklin in the backfield, 2nd down and 10 for the Green Bay Packers. Harrell with the blitz coming, he gets away. Nope, Arenas got him. I thought he was going to move away. It wasn't Arenas, it was Tyrann Mathieu. That's the Honey Badger out of LSU. They used a 3rd-round pick to get him. Remember, suspended last year by the LSU program. Drafted high. They say he might have been the most impressive guy through the first 2 weeks of Cardinal camp so far. So a loss of 12, 3rd and 22. They need the 44. As you take a look at Graham Harrell. Five defensive backs, and that's what Harrell will throw into. Going deep and looking for Walker. And incomplete. And the sack by Mathieu was huge. The Honey Badger comes up with it, and Green Bay's got a punt again.
And I want to take you back to the 2nd down sack, Kevin. He's got to see the pressure off the slot. Graham Harrell a little late here, and you see the sack. He's either got to change the protection, throw hot, or get that ball out. Can't take a sack in that part of the field. You can see Mike McCarthy talking to him.
Mathieu is deep back, and Mastay is going to punt for the Packers. This is the 4th consecutive punt for Green Bay. Mathieu on the 46. And he made his mark with all kinds of big plays at LSU. Interceptions, fumble recoveries, and returns. He's near midfield, and he is a feisty kid. 4-yard return. Cardinals have it when we come back to Lambeau in Green Bay.
Back here in Green Bay, good look at the quarterbacks, looking at the pictures with Tom Clements, the offensive coordinator. You see Graham Harrell, Aaron Rodgers over there lending a hand to his buddy. And, of course, the 2nd-year player, B.J. Coleman. Vince Young probably warming up somewhere. I'm sure we're going to get a chance to see Vince Young here, Kevin, at some point here in the second half.
Harrell, 12 of 19. Young is warming up. I thought we'd see Coleman beforehand, but it looks like now it's going to be Vince Young coming in. Ryan Lindley is the new quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. He's out of San Diego State, second-year player, 6th-round pick a year ago. And he gives off to Alphonso Smith, who will carve his way to the 46 and pick up 5 on the play, and getting tackled by Gilbert Pena for the Green Bay Packers. And Boyd, as Rich was talking about before, the 3-year starter in the Southeastern Conference.
Well, this is an exciting time for a lot of these rookie and first-year players, just really getting their first opportunity to play tonight. And it can be overwhelming to some of them. You know, just they know what's at stake, an opportunity to make this 53-man roster on what is a very, very good football team.
6 defensive backs for the Packers in second down, and that is a catch made on a drive, 2nd down and 5, lassoed by Dan Buckner, rookie free agent from Arizona. Lindley on the mark, 19-yard pickup at the Green Bay 28.
Well, the protection has been pretty good tonight for the Cardinal quarterbacks, and give these guys time to set their feet. I don't care if it's the 3rd quarterback, Ryan Lindley, they're going to make you pay.
Packers have 1 sack tonight from the 28 of Green Bay, Arizona. Leading on 2 touchdown passes, has it 1st down and 10. And they keep it on the ground again with Smith. And he finds some nice yardage down near the 20-yard line. So in the last 2 drives by Arizona, they've had gains of 17. Moments ago, Buckner with the catch, a 19-yard gain. So they've been going right at that Packer secondary and finding success.
Yeah, and Bruce Arians, you see there with that play sheet, I mean, he's going to be aggressive as a play caller. He's going to take shots down the field. The other thing that they've benefited from is good field position. Seems like most of the night they've gotten the ball around midfield or with a turnover. So they've been taking advantage of the Packer mistakes.
Sure makes things easier, doesn't it, Rich, when they do that? Here's a 2nd and 2. Smith outside, went him out of some real estate, and finally chased and tackled on the play. In the secondary, David Fulton, who's out of Count, and he was a player who's a rookie free agent for the Packers.
And I think if you're Packer fans, it's important not to overreact. And this is a preseason game. The goal, as Mike McCarthy pointed out, Kevin, was to take a look at a lot of young players, and he was concerned about the quality of play. He wanted to see this team go out and play fast, play with a purpose, play with some energy. Of course, take care of the football, create some opportunities. They have not been able to do that with their defense or the kicking game. And, of course, somehow come out of here tonight with a win, which is always important, whether it's preseason or the regular season.
And turned it over twice. 3rd and 3. Nice stop by the Packers. They got in there and made a very nice play, and it was handed in by Chris Banjo, just signed recently to camp after getting cut most of last year, sat out of football. Loss of 3.
Yeah, really nice job. You just see him fill the hole right there. As soon as he recognized his run, Banjo was right there to make the play in the backfield.
And Johnny Jolly in there too, Rich.
Well, I've been impressed with Johnny Jolly a little bit, Kevin. He's got a lot of push in there. You see him taking on the double teams. I think he's got a really good chance of making this football team.
Batson will try a 42-yard field goal. He has missed once. He has missed twice. In consecutive series and consecutive offensive possessions, he misses on 2, in Arizona 0 of 3 on field goals tonight. Here comes Vince Young, signed this week for Green Bay. Max sat out last year after getting cut by Buffalo last summer in training camp.
Yeah, you're right, Kevin. A lot of experience. A guy that actually has been to 2 Pro Bowls, had some success early in his career in Tennessee, and I think he had too much success too soon. Didn't really realize how much it goes into playing this position. I think he took some things for granted and didn't really get an opportunity in Philly a couple seasons ago. And, of course, things did not work out last training camp, and Buffalo's out of football a year ago.
Here's Alex Green on 1st down and 10, and minimal yardage right there. Matthew is the one to get him, gain of 2. Alex Green is in there. We've got Marshall Newhouse now playing the left tackle, where he was a starter last year. Another series for him at that position. Bakhtiari started, and he is done for the night. And Van Roten now playing the left guard. 2nd down and 8. Green held from behind and brought down on the play, and only a gain of a yard. And that tackle made by Kenny Demons, who's out of Michigan. Now it'll be 3rd and 7 for Green Bay.
Well, we asked Mike McCarthy about the plan for Vince Young, and he said this is where the system has to help the quarterback. I mean, Vince just came in here this week. Certainly doesn't know the offense. He's at a disadvantage. He didn't have the benefit of the offseason program, so he only has a handful of plays at his disposal.
He has them written on his wrist, on his left wrist. 3rd down and 7. Young underneath, caught by Gillette. That's close to a first down. In fact, that last move got it for him before he's brought down by Ronnie Yell. It is a catch and a run of about 7 1/4. He just gets the first down.
And you just want to see him gain some confidence. I think that's the big question with Vince Young right now. You know, he's in a different system. It's a totally different language. There's no carryover to anywhere he's been in the past. So he's got a lot of catching up to do. There's no question he has the physical ability. He can throw the football, and he can certainly run around and make some plays with his legs.
From the 42, Green on 1st and 10. And one of the things that Mike was talking about this morning and visited with you at length about yesterday was just the footwork. And how the Green Bay quarterback footwork drills and the way they teach it here is different from any other thing he's dealt with in his pro career.
Yeah, really, that's going to be a work in progress. I mean, he developed some bad habits, I think, Kevin, early in his career at Tennessee. I don't think he was ever coached the way they coach the quarterbacks here in terms of footwork. I think just him being under center, I think he's much more comfortable in the gun. But they've got a lot of work to do with him. They don't have the time to do it. All the focus, obviously, in the preseason is going to be getting Aaron ready and not Vince Young.
2nd and 9 and running across the way. And, of course, that was his trademark, whether at Texas or with the Tennessee Titans. He would run all over the field. He'd make a quick read and then bolt, and that's what got him to the Rookie of the Year and a starting role with that team with Jeff Fisher in Nashville. He'll stay on the field. The Packers will have 3rd and 2, and we come back trailing by 2 touchdowns at the end of 3. Starting the 4th quarter with former NFL MVP Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan. Rod Burks is on our sideline. Thank you for joining us tonight in the preseason opening game from sold-out Lambeau in Green Bay. We begin the 4th quarter with a 3rd and 2 for Young, who fakes it to Green. Mulligan will give him a block, and that is a first down. Nice run right there, tackled by Jefferson, gain of 5. And that is the wrinkle that he gives an offense with his ability to gallop.
Yeah, he can really hurt you when he gets out on the edge. I think this is where he's most comfortable, where you kind of simplify the reads. It's a high-low concept, and he also has the ability to pull it down. He's always been a good runner, going back to his days at Texas.
So 2-2 on 3rd down so far for 30-year-old Vince Young. First down and 10 yards to go. Grew up in Houston, Texas. Played for Mac Brown at the University of Texas. And Green smashing over the right side and trying to find some room. There is a re-emphasis in Green Bay on the running attack, which led to the signing of Matthew Mulligan, known for being a great tight end run blocking guy, and he carries a lot of weight, over 265 pounds.
Yeah, he's a road grader at the tight end position, and you know, typically this is a team that keeps 5 or 6 tight ends. You're always looking for the big guys that can do a number of different things. Can play tight end, can play out in the slot, can play the H-back, short yardage, and goal line, do different things in this offense.
Mulligan, a starter last year for the Rams. 2nd down and 6. Green again. And trying to grind out yards to the Cardinal 38-yard line, and a host of guys bring him down. Green is still kind of come back. When Cedric Benson went down, they relied on Green, who probably wasn't 100% coming back from that rookie blown knee, the ACL. But now he's lost weight, they say, and he has got that burst that they saw when he played at the University of Hawaii.
Well, he looks quick, and the other thing I'm seeing in this drive is I'm seeing this offensive line really come off the ball. And you get up on the second level, and you're starting to see some Packer linemen finish blocks down the field.
Newhouse playing the left tackle, Barkley playing the right tackle. They give some blocks on 3rd and 4. Here comes Young again. Oh, look at him running around. Still getting in condition, too, because he had not been in a camp previous to Green Bay. Thrown for a loss, back to the 44, losing 5. That'll bring up 4th down now, and another punting situation for the Packers. And, Rich, this will be the 5th consecutive punt, and before that, they had a fumble, they had an interception, and they had it goal to go, and they lost it on downs in the opening series of the game, led by quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
They're going to wear out Tim Esta. He's going to be in the training room tomorrow. He's in that leg. He's getting too much work tonight.
Matthew is back inside the 10. He was a 3rd-round pick out of LSU. Out playing college ball after the suspension. And trying that Aussie kick, which did not get the kind of bounce and the kind of English on it that he wanted. He practices it all the time during training camp, but it didn't work that time. 45-yard punt, net of 25. Happy Packer faces just knowing that the season is back in Green Bay. And another consultation with young quarterback in Coleman, a new quarterback in Young, and the face of the organization, Rodgers.
If I'm Tom Clements, I'm just going to tell these young guys, just do what the guy behind us is doing. You know, whatever 12 does, you do. It's that simple. Just throw it to the open guy. There's not a lot like Aaron Rodgers, I'm telling you. He is a special player.
First down and 10. We're going to talk a little bit about Rodgers here because he's in the focus of so much of this team. And they go downfield. That's caught once again. This is Charles Hawkins as he fumbles the ball, and then he vacuums it in at the 49. Hit and brought down by Banjo, among others. A 31-yard pickup and a first down.
He does a nice job coming back to the ball. And again, more shots down the field. And that's a staple of Bruce Arians' offense. A back shoulder throw, and of course, he's got to do a better job squeezing that ball.
Hawkins
got a little careless with it at the end.
He had a 36-yard reception, you may recall, on their third possession. And right there he picks up 31 yards. So the quarterback, Ryan Lindley out of San Diego State with the completion. 1st and 10 with the stiff arm there. Taylor out of Stanford, and the rookie in a 5th-round pick is trying to carve his way for something and doesn't find much and loses about a yard, maybe more. So it is 2nd down and 11. We're talking about Rodgers, and we noticed before the game, and Packer fans see this all the time, of course, when they watch pregame warmups. He is loose. He's probably picked up something maybe from a predecessor, you'd think.
I think he learned a lot of that from Brett. He has fun playing the game. He's very serious, but you saw him before the game. He's having fun. He's smiling with the cameras. He's a big photo bomber. You know that about Aaron Rodgers. And that's the great thing about him. And
2nd down 11 as Terrell Manning makes the stop right there. And this was before the game. Art Tauscher.
How many guys do that before the game? I mean,
Brent used to do that kind of stuff.
I know it. I think that's where he learned it.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, Aaron Rodgers bothers me, Kevin, and I'm going to tell you why. As a former quarterback, he makes it look too easy. I mean, he really does. I mean, if you think about just how easy he makes it look and how productive he has been. I mean, you look at his numbers over the last 2 years, it's incredible. I mean, that touchdown-to-interception ratio, 89 touchdowns and 16 interceptions in the last 2 seasons.
3rd down and 11 for Lindley. Needs the 39, and he finds his receiver beautifully threaded in to Robbie Toma, who is out of Notre Dame. He's a 5'9 rookie free agent. Beautiful pass, 28-yard pickup. The secondary of the Packers tonight has not looked good. It's to the 22.
Well, this is a great throw, though, Kevin. I didn't think the coverage was all that bad. It's double coverage. Means knows he has help over the top from the safety, and double 2-man coverage, and the quarterback just puts it in the only place he can to Toma.
That's the 4th pass play by the Cardinals tonight of 25 yards or more. That for 28. 1st and 10, and they send Taylor, who's brought down by Manning and others on that defense, and a gain of 3. Sam Barrington out of South Florida, a 7th-round pick, was there to make the stop. Think how lucky Green Bay has been. They've had 21 years of 2 quarterbacks. 21 seasons of 2 quarterbacks, and at the end of the day, both may be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I think both will be in the Hall of Fame.
Think of that. I mean, that is just unheard of.
You know, people think about Aaron and how good he is in terms of touchdowns and all that. The best thing he does is take care of the football. His career interception percentage is the best in NFL history. He doesn't make mistakes. He puts his team in a position to have a chance to win each and every week. And he understands situational football. He understands the talent around him. He understands what the issues are. I mean, look at those numbers since he's become the starter.
And that's why he's the highest paid player
and he should
in
be.
the NFL.
It's money well spent by the Packers. And you hate to think where this team would be without him. But, you know, a good look at Bart Starr. I think someday we're going to see a couple Packer quarterbacks names up in the rafters here at Lambeau.
And sooner than later with Favre, as Taylor takes it again. He had gained 5 yards on 2nd down. That was 3rd and a couple, and he's very, very close to a 1st down. It's been incredible, the run they've had at quarterback, and that's the guy who made the pick of Rodgers.
24th pick in the 1st round.
And remember at the time, Rodgers was being thought as maybe the overall #1 pick, and that went to Alex Smith, and then Mike McCarthy who was on the San Francisco staff, was part of that decision for the Niners to draft Smith over Rodgers. And then, of course, when he's hired here, Rodgers is his quarterback.
And Aaron had the benefit to sit those first couple years and really watch the master in Brett Favre. But when he got the opportunity, Kevin, he was clearly ready.
Favre was the quarterback for 2 years, the first 2 years of Mike, and then, of course, it's been Rodgers ever since. So a timeout taken, 4th and 1 coming up, and a 2-touchdown lead by the Cardinals. We're in the 4th quarter and 7:47 to play. Back in Green Bay, the crowd thinning just a bit, and what has been an absolutely perfect night for football. We're not far from the shores of Lake Michigan. Our broadcast tonight going as far as Honolulu, Hawaii. We welcome all of our faithful Packer fans in the 50th state. 4th and 1 after the timeout right there by Arizona. Or the 49th state. I'm sorry, was Hawaii the 49th state and Alaska was the 50th?
Yes,
right?
yes.
I flunked geography, excuse me. 4th and 1. Here's the quarterback, Ryan Lindley, and it's incomplete, and the Packers hold. They had pressure on the quarterback who is running for his life, and Green Bay will take over. Nice coverage on the play in the secondary by the likes of Jarrett Bush. Timeout in Green Bay. Hey, do we know if Hawaii was the...
Do you have any, would you rather do like sports? Would you rather do like news?
Rich, we're back on the air, just in case you didn't know. Rich talking to some interns that have come in our booth tonight.
I'm trying to help everybody out here, Kevin, not just you.
I'm going to correct something. I said Hawaii is the 50th state.
And you just ran and checked.
I had to. In Alaska, 49th. So I didn't mean to offend anybody. As Young is in there 1st and 10 and slings that ball outside for Gillette, and that is incomplete. So it'll be 2nd down and 10 for Young. The Packer quarterbacks, of course, have got a lot of things on their mind. The philosophy, of course, is one that is heavy on footwork, timing, quick decisions at that quarterback position that is taught by a former coach of yours, Mike McCarthy, when you guys crossed paths in Kansas City.
Best thing that ever happened to me in my career, getting with Mike in Kansas City and having someone teach me about playing that position.
Nice run by Green. And he will corkscrew his way for 8, making it 3rd and 2, and he's up to the 21. I'm sure he taught you a lot of things.
Well, he did, and I think, Kevin, you point something out about footwork and how important that is in this offense, and that's really where it began to make sense for me. Mike, you always uses the expression, trust your feet. Your feet will take you to the open man, will take you to the right throw, and that's something that Vince Young really has to learn in this offense. He's got a lot of catching up to do.
3rd down and 2, Packers at their own 21. Young. And it is incomplete. They were looking for the receiver across the way, and it was one that was really contested, and it was Omarius Hines, who was just signed by Green Bay.
Well, you just watch the feet, the ISO here. There's the first hitch, and you got to trust the feet. We talked about that ball's got to come out on the first hitch. He took the second hitch. He clutched that ball, and it made him late. We always use the expression, if you wait, you're late. The ball has to come out on time. Didn't happen in that situation.
That instant replay is sponsored by Mills Fleet Farm. 6 consecutive punts for Green Bay. And Matthew, boy, is he elusive and electric. And he takes it into Green Bay territory on the best return by either team tonight. The Honey Badger with a return of 23. And the Cardinals again will begin it in Packer territory. Cardinals pounced on both. Carson Palmer, the new quarterback in Arizona, via trade from the Oakland Raiders, threw a touchdown pass of 38 yards, and then the guy that took his place, and a guy they're very high on, Stanton, who came from the Indianapolis Colts, he took advantage of some nice beginning field position, tossed a simple 1-yard touchdown pass to Brown, and it's 14-0 Arizona. It's been that way most of the game. Lindley is in at the quarterback again, 43 of Green Bay after the beautiful punt return by Matthew. Oh, here comes the rush from the outside and the pass downfield. There's a flag. Dante Savage just about had the quarterback, Ryan Lindley, but the Penalty will be on Green Bay inside the 10.
Interference number 40, defense, automatic, first down.
David Fulton, who's had some injury woes in camp so far, and he's picking up the penalty flag.
Well, they get good pressure off the edge from Savage, and what happens is the safety gets beat. Fulton gets beat, and then he panics. See, he gets turned around, doesn't do a good job finding the ball, and right there he's just going to panic and grab the receiver.
It was a 40-yard penalty. They were going for Nicholas Edwards, who's a rookie out of Eastern Washington. Fulton was caught. 40-yard penalty basically on number 40. Lindley on first and goal, and he's outside a little bit high, and a contorted Edwards tried to get that one. It's incomplete. It'll be second down and goal. The coverage on the play by Jared Bush, who was vying for a starting role last year and continued with his backup role in a special teams demon for Mike McCarthy. Second down and goal. It's a nice way for this Cardinal team to begin this season with the revampment of top to bottom of football operation. General manager, head coach, coaching staff, new quarterback, second and goal. And this is the hard-charging running back, Alfonso Smith, who picks up 2. So he's down close to the goal line. And now it'll be third and goal. I mean, when you have 51 new players, Rich, out of 90, that's a pretty significant turnover.
Well, I mean, it's amazing when you think about the change on this football team, starting with Steve Keim, the general manager, and Bruce Arians, and about a dozen new faces on defense. A bunch more on offense, starting with the quarterback and the running back, Rashard Mendenhall. Nice stop in the backfield.
It sure was. Great play, and that was the guy who was just called on the penalty. David Fulton comes up with a wonderful hit in back of the line. A loss of 2, fourth and goal.
Well, penetration kills you in the running game. You see the linebacker fire through there cleanly. That's what gets it started. Nice job there by Barrington, and then the safety, Fulton, comes in for the cleanup.
Well, they missed a couple field goals tonight, 3 to be exact, and Jay Feely will be out there for a little chip shot. This will be a 21-yard field goal. To tack on 3 more for the Arizona Cardinals. The return by Tyrann Mathieu was huge, and it gave them starting position at the Green Bay 43, and they get 3 out of it, so 17-0, the Arizona Cardinals in the preseason opener over the Green Bay Packers. It was all set up on a 40-yard penalty on the Packers secondary. There's Matthews. Let's go downstairs to Rod Brooks.
Thank you, guys. I'm joined by fourth-year cornerback Sam Shields here on the sideline. Things not going so good, down 14-0, but the good thing is it's just a preseason game, right? But you can still learn, right?
Most definitely. You know, it's all a learning thing. You know, we come in tomorrow and, you know, come on our corrections, and then we go from there.
A lot of people want to know how different that locker room is without Charles Woodson. It's a guy that you learned from, you were close to. What's it like with not having Charles Woodson, the guy out there, the teacher on this football field?
You know, Charles was a big help to our defense. You know, like he was like a big father to everybody. You know, like I say, Charles was like an all-around player. Whenever you need help, he was always there. You know, but unfortunately, you know, he's back at in Oakland, so you know. Everybody else got to step up. You know, we got Morgan Burnett back there. You know, he's another big help to our defense and a big captain.
And a lot of people are expecting some big things out of you this season. Talk about what you've worked on in the offseason to bring more to your game.
Just, you know, staying, you know, on top of my pressing. You know, that's what I love to do. And, you know, that's what I'm good at. You know, just keep doing that, you know, and just learning the defense. Keep learning the defense, and everything can be rolling good.
That's Sam Shields. We're down here on the side. We're going to send it back up to the guys up in the booth. Guys?
Former college wide receiver at Miami, and he missed 6 games last year, Rich, with the knee injury, but finished the season strong with 4 interceptions in the final 6 games for the Pack.
Yeah, they're banged up right now with Tremont Williams with the knee, and you get Casey Hayward with the hamstring. But just you listen to the comments from Joe Vitt Jr., the secondary coach. It's the first time, in his opinion, they've had a situation where all 9 cornerbacks deserve to be on a 53-man roster. I mean, very deep and talented at the cornerback position. These will make tough decisions there when they try and get down to the 53.
There's Omarius Hines. He is back. He was recently let go by Baltimore, and he is a rookie free agent out of Florida. Started just 9 games in the 51 he played down in Gainesville, with the kickoff by Batson, as the Packers are wanting someone to step up on the return game. Let's see if anything happens here, as he is tripped up, and a flag was thrown, and the tackle was made on the special teams by Ryan McCann out of SMU, former Miami Dolphin. Hines played 4 different positions down in Florida. Running back, receiver, tight end, fullback. Played it all. Jack of all trades.
The more you can do.
That's exactly right. The more you can do. We have a new quarterback for the Packers, too, coming in, B.J. Coleman.
During the return, illegal block on the back, number 15 of the return team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
So B.J. Coleman is in, and he is coming off a poor performance last week where he was 9 of 18. He threw 2 interceptions. And I think that performance had a lot of people thinking that was the reason why they signed Vince Young off the street, because they were expecting more from Coleman.
Yeah, I think that the message has been sent to B.J. Coleman loud and clear. I mean, you just can't play for Mike McCarthy at that position if you don't take care of the football. He's not going to tolerate the turnovers.
Angelo Pease is in the game. He's a rookie free agent at running back out of Kansas State. Coleman drilled as he throws and incomplete. Justin Wilson got a hand on it but could not lasso it, as Coleman was, as I said before, hit pretty hard. Mathis was coming up the middle.
Well, the protection was pretty good initially. This ball just has to come out, and a little late with his eyes, and then, of course, the hit right as he lets it go.
Finished his career at Tennessee Chattanooga, but he began at the University of Tennessee, and he transferred to Chattanooga. His dad played college football in the late 70s. At Tennessee Chattanooga. Here comes Pease. He did not carry the ball much for Bill Snyder at Kansas State, and he can't find anything outside that time. The rookie free agent picks up a yard on the play. He's up to about the 9.
Well, the key for B.J. Coleman, I think, Kevin, is use the expression he's got to play faster. And what exactly does that mean? I think getting through the progressions quicker and more efficiently, and being decisive. Working on your location on throws. Making good decisions at that position. Sometimes the best play, the only play, is to throw it away and to move on.
3rd and 9 for Coleman. Out of 23 throws tonight by backup quarterbacks, only 57 net yards for Green Bay tonight. And this one is low and underthrown for Alex Gillette. With a lot of heavy coverage across the way by the Cardinals, 3 and out. Coleman does nothing on that possession. Granted, with poor beginning field position. Nonetheless, the Packers have got a punt again. Rich, can you count these right here?
Too many 3 and outs.
Count in Latin for us, if you would, please. 6 in a row.
Yeah.
7 in a row.
It's demoralizing to an offense. To count in Latin.
I wish I could think of a Latin word.
Unum. I think that's one.
Forget it. Maste will punt this. And it's not Matthew this time. It is the wide receiver Hawkins, who's had a big-time night out of Southern University, and a flag is down. And he was hammered on the play. 4:10 to play in our 4th quarter. Hit that time by Chris Banjo, a longtime starter at SMU.
Illegal block in the back. Number 36, return team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
And that was on Tony Jefferson. As you take a look at the Green Bay draft, and it began with Dayton Jones, who, if you're joining us late, sprained an ankle earlier in the game, and we had to get that from Clay Matthews, who told our Rod Burks that on the sideline earlier in the game.
Yeah, you hate to see Dayton Jones go down. Kevin, I was anxious to see him play tonight in some extended snaps. Didn't get a chance to see him play much. Of course, Eddie Lacy did not dress tonight, nursing a hamstring. I thought Bakhtiari did a nice job, really handled himself well with the first unit. And Jonathan Franklin got some good opportunities, not only to run with the football, but to catch a couple passes as well.
Caleb Turbush is the new quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. It's a gain of 3 right there for Taylor, who takes it up and tries to find something. So it'll be 2nd down. This kid is out of Northwest Missouri State, rookie free agent. Comes in here. New offensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals, too, is Harold Goodwin. And their new defensive coordinator, we told you they revamped the entire coaching staff, is Todd Bowles. If that name rings a bell, he was the interim head coach for the Miami Dolphins a couple years ago.
Actually played for Bruce Arians at Temple University.
Yes. Good note. 2nd down and 7. Going outside, and this is going to be caught on the play by the fullback, Mickey Schuler, who is playing some tight end and fullback for this team, waived by Minnesota earlier this year. Picks up 8 and gets the first down, but a flag is down on the 42-yard line across the way.
Bruce Arians has an interesting staff, Kevin.
He does.
Got Kevin Ross on that staff, a former Chief and former Temple Owl, and Tom Moore actually on that staff as well. Tom was with Bruce in Indianapolis when they coached Peyton Manning. And
there's Tom.
Look at Tom Moore. Boy, he's a great football coach.
After the play was over, unnecessary roughness, number 78 of the offense, for unnecessarily contacting an opponent. The result of the play was a first down. It'll be 1st and 10 after enforcement of the 15-yard penalty.
They call that an Earl Watford as a rookie, a 4th-round draft choice out of James Madison, and that pushes the ball now back to about the 28-yard line. It will be 1st and 10. Bruce Arians was at Pittsburgh and then went to Indianapolis. Now with the Cardinals. He was there when a kid named Ben Roethlisberger was coming out of Miami of Ohio and helped his development. Taylor. And almost stopped him back of the line by Jordan Miller. He's a free agent for the Packers. Practice squad kid. Gain of 1 on the play to the 30. A lot of tape to look at, Rich, after this one, and they're going to have to look at the secondary, I guess, for the Packers probably stands out as an area of concern because 4 different quarterbacks have played tonight for the Cardinals. The first 3 have been very, very solid in throwing that ball.
I think what's disturbing was the big plays that they gave up in the passing game, and I think it's a couple things, Kevin. I think that it's, they didn't do a good enough job, I think, with the rush. And I think they gave up, again, too many big plays on the back end with their coverage units.
2nd down 9. Taylor once again.
I think there's a direct correlation there. I mean, they were expecting more out of the rush, and they didn't do that. And you think about the Cardinal quarterbacks, they've had time to set their feet and make good throws down the field. A lot of corrections to be made when they start looking at that film tomorrow.
Well, now they're going to play in the Dome next week on turf, and that's going to be very, very tough. And starters will play longer next week. It'll be a very tough chore for Bakhtiari, the new left tackle for the Packers. We've reached the 2-minute warning as Coleman talks with Rodgers. We take a break in a 17-0 Arizona Cardinal lead. Well, you've got playoff teams in San Francisco, Washington, and Cincinnati to lead off the Packer regular season schedule. Tough beginning, huh?
4 of the first 5 games are against playoff teams from a year ago.
Then they go to Baltimore. Of course, they won the Super Bowl. To Bush, throws it, and it was a hit by Jarrett Bush. It is incomplete. It is 4th down. The Cardinals will punt the ball, 1:54 to play, and you can see the other games coming up. And that game in San Francisco is going to be interesting on so many levels.
Well, I think you look at the San Francisco game and the Washington game. Colin Kaepernick for the 49ers and RG3 for the Washington Redskins. A lot of time, a lot of the focus this offseason, Kevin, has been stopping that read option. And they sent that defensive staff down to Texas A&M to learn more about it. And maybe there's a reason why they signed Vince Young. Maybe a guy that can come in there and duplicate some of the looks and some of the things they're going to see from those quarterbacks the first 2 weeks.
First punt tonight for the Cardinals, and it was picked up by Hines, and you could see him trying to battle his way with not a lot of running room, and a tackle made by the defensive back Brian McCann, who's on the special teams now for the Cardinals after the 53-yard punt. Fans, be sure to tune into the Packer Radio Network during the regular season for the Menards Big Play Contest during every second quarter. You could win $500 if the Packers score a touchdown from 25 yards or more during that second quarter. And for details, visit any Wisconsin Menards store and ask about the Menards Big Play on the Green Bay Packer Radio Network. Run by the TMJ Group, the Journal Group down in Milwaukee, which is the rights holder in the flagship, and a little pass across the middle, and that's a catch by who we think is probably the player of the game, the wide receiver Tyrone Walker, who picks up a yard on that cross.
Boy, he's made himself available tonight, hasn't he? And he's done a nice job moving him around. He's done a nice job catching the ball and taking advantage of this opportunity.
He's had 5 receptions tonight. Here is a 2nd and 9, and this is Gillette. And he's got the first down. Good throw by Coleman. He's up to the 25. He picks up 14. The Packers are moving the ball. So the no huddle. Pease is in the backfield First down and 10 from the 25. Packers have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. Coleman hit as he throws, and this is going to sail over the head of Miles White on the sideline. Second down and 10.
With a challenge for B.J. Coleman. You've got a lot of young players out there, but he's breathing heavy. You just got to settle him down and make sure everybody knows what to do.
Well, Rich, folks, after this game tonight is going to get on a plane and go move his oldest daughter into her college dorm.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
I don't envy you on that one.
Well, you've got experience. I know that.
3 times over, yeah. 3 times over. It's that is not an easy day. That is on many levels. Second down and 10. Coleman slings a pass, and it was almost picked off and through the hands of Jarrett Boykin. Incomplete. The undrafted receiver out of Virginia Tech. It'll be 3rd and 10.
Well, we've seen some drops tonight, and that's very uncharacteristic for Packer receivers. This is a sure-handed group.
These are important snaps for these kids, especially number 9.
You can't get enough of them, and you know you've got to take advantage of every snap. You're being evaluated on everything you do through the preseason.
Coleman 3rd and 10. And outside, boy, the receiver looked like he was held. Miles White, and there is no yellow on the field. And Matthew was the one over there, the rookie, who has had a big night and probably is their defensive MVP. It's 4th and 10. Green Bay is going to punt once again. They're going to end the game with 8 consecutive punts. 8 punts in a row for the Packers to finish off this one. And they got, who has been probably their offensive MVP, Charles Hawkins back there, the rookie free agent from Southern. Mastay. This is not a good punt, but it does take a nice Packer bounce, and looked like he was going to try to balance that on his nose there for just a second, as the special teams player Chris Banjo was down there. He was cut from the Jacksonville camp and didn't play last year, as we talked about, and a longtime starter at SMU down in Dallas, Texas. Mike is not going to be happy tonight, Rich, and he's not going to be happy when he watches the tape tomorrow morning. And they're just going to sit on the ball, and this game's going to end.
Well, he talked about the quality of play, and it's just not up to the Packers standard. Really, in any phase of the game, offensively, defensively, the kicking game, it can all be better, and it will be better. And they'll get to work this week to make the corrections and clean it up.
Aaron Rodgers going to run across the field. As you can see, the 2 head coaches, longtime friends, shake hands. And I think Aaron was headed over to go take a look at his former offensive lineman, Darren College, who did not play tonight because of a leg injury and some nerve damage that he's dealing with. But Aaron, you can see friends with a lot of those kids. There's Matthew over there. That's the kid who pretty much stole the headlines tonight. And Rodgers also talking there with Lorenzo Alexander, who came as a free agent from the Washington Redskins after a long career with Washington. Packers tonight had 148 total yards in the first quarter and 75 the final 3 quarters in a 17-0 shutout loss to Arizona.